Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to listen to the incomparable Win Twice Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, Scott and Holly. So sit back, relax, and prepare to be entertained.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode number 6 of the Win Twice Wrestling Podcast. Feels like it's been a while since we've done a lengthy show.
I literally was just thinking that.
And I want to say this is a girthy boy. It's not as girthy as the show that preceded it. That
No.
SummerSlam 2016 was hefty.
I was very glad when I saw how long this show was.
Well, especially when, you know, the one that we're doing is also a SummerSlam. But I think we have other bits of business to pick up on first. So as some of you may or may not know, we were doing a Christmas mini-series called The 12 Days of WrestleMas. And I think some of the posts that you did on Instagram got a little bit of, not traction, but got a bit of a response from the community.
Did.
And do you have those to hand by
chance? One of which did not please you.
Did it not? Please remind me.
So there was one day where we did our opinions on over and underrated wrestlers.
Yeah.
And someone sent a message and said, if we're talking about the whole WWE package, overrated, they said Daniel Bryan and Hulk Hogan.
I mean, so the people that are commenting on this, what we've learned, aren't wrestling fans. I think, what's his name? Mark, yeah?
He is your friend.
He is my friend, yeah. It was Mark, though, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So what did he put for, before I tear into him for overrated, what did he say for underrated?
The Miz, Owen Hart, and Taka Michinoku?
Close, yeah, Taka Michinoku,
okay.
Yep. So The Miz, I would say, is underappreciated.
I don't think he's underrated though. He's used a lot.
Yeah, and I think it's by how people view him,
Yeah.
rather than how WWE use him. I don't think he's massively underrated. I think after he stopped, people kind of look back and go, do you know, he was all right.
Yeah.
But I don't think that is an extreme case. Owen Hart, I'll give you. I think Owen Hart was very good.
Right.
Because he could do a bit of everything, and obviously his time was fairly short in wrestling. And it'd be interesting to see. I think there were talks, as it pertains to Owen Hart, that towards the end of 98 or 99, he was rumoured to be taking the WWE title at some point, which is something he never had. And he would have been a good shout for someone who never won a world title as well.
Oh, I see.
Taka Michinoku has done loads in the wrestling business, but if Mark's specifically referring to inside the sphere of WWE,
Yes.
okay, he was the first light heavyweight champion. No, as in, yeah, okay, because he was the first light heavyweight champion,
right, when
WWF brought that in to compete with the WCW Cruiserweight title. He was kind of fairly inventive for back then, certainly in the WWE. He's gone on to do loads of stuff in Japan. He is Japanese, and he's done most of the body of his work is out there. So I think he's in New Japan Pro Wrestling at the moment. He actually had a promotion that he founded, Michinoku Pro, and he's got a wrestling move named after him, the Michinoku Driver, which is a bit like the snowplow.
Okay.
So instead of like falling to the side like a suplex, you pick them up for a body slam, but then you sit down and drive them down in front of you.
Yep.
That's the Michinoku Driver. So I don't disagree with that. I think if we're talking about overrated, so he's mentioned Hulk Hogan, which is very fitting given the show that we're about to cover. In terms of in-ring performance, it was very much a punch-kick affair with Hogan.
For sure.
The only time that you see him go outside of that is in Japan, where he actually was not bad, I have to say, because he knew that it was a different audience and he couldn't get away with the same stuff that he did in the States. As far as the promos and everything else goes, he was very much of that era. Yeah. So hard to say that's overrated if you're looking at it in that just particular time frame.
Yeah.
Because you can't like
judge something that was back then to something that happens now, because it's a completely different time.
Exactly. You take him out and put him in the Attitude Era, it doesn't land the same.
No.
But Daniel Bryan, I just can't get on board with in any capacity. In WWE, I think he did absolutely everything. His promos were good, because the thing that always held him back before he went to WWE, other than his physical stature, because I think he's about 5'10", around about that, which isn't tiny, but in wrestling standards is fairly small. His promos were considered to hold him back, and I thought his promos were okay, but it was very obvious in his eyes if he was thrown off. It's like a bit of corpsing almost.
Oh, okay.
There's a famous, I say famous one, it's famous to me. There was a Ring of Honor show, and I can't remember the event name, but he was supposed to be having a match against Colt Cabana. You might know the guy's name. He was CM Punk's best friend.
I know the name.
They had a massive blowout. Okay, so anyway, they were about to have a Ring of Honor match, and Daniel Bryan was doing a promo, and he said about how he hates all these kind of muscle-bound, tan guys, and he said, that's not wrestling. And then Colt Cabana comes into the screen and starts saying, oh yeah, I've just come out from the gym and got the fate, and he was like just playing off everything that Bryan Danielson had just said. And Bryan Danielson, you see him go to smile, and he has to turn around, and he puts his back to the camera, and you see his shoulders going a little bit because Colt Cabana's made him laugh. But I thought his promos had come on leaps and bounds in his time in WWE, to the point where not only was it not a weakness, I think it was one of his strengths as well, because it felt real. Like, he had a way of getting people behind him. Look at the Yes movement. When people invaded the ring. I mean, what do you think? I mean, I know you've seen enough of his work to have an opinion on him.
No, I wouldn't say he's overrated, actually. I'd say he's just actually very good.
I'd be interested, actually, because he never gave any reasons or specified why he thought that was the case. So, Mark, if you do listen to this, I'll be interested to, if you give me a bit more detail, we'll read it out and, we'll elaborate and come back. I think that's a good point for debating. And I noticed in one of the other topics, I think he said that the favourite era for him was the 90s,
for sure,
which makes sense because I'm of similar age to Mark. So, I mean, for me, I would say 90s as well, but I'd use the 80s because of everything that happened in the 80s with WrestleMania and the wrestling boom. But thank you very much, Mark, for the feedback. It's much appreciated, mate. Okay, so I think it's about time that we roll into the meat and potatoes of this recording. Yeah. So, as I said, reached episode 6, and this was a show that was put forth by Jamie, who, based off, we'll touch upon it when we get to the main event, but he was very keen to hear your opinion on certain aspects of the show with your keen eye for overselling, shall we say.
Right, yeah.
And with that, we're covering WWE SummerSlam 2005. It took place on the 21st of August 2005 at the MCI Centre in Washington, D.C., a place you've recently come back from.
The last two we've watched are both places that I've been, and that arena I've been to.
Really?
Was that where I went and saw the NBA game.
Yeah, and he said the Wizards as well.
Yeah, because now it's called the Capital One Arena.
Yes.
I did do a bit of Googling.
Well, that makes sense then. So literally this show took place the same venue as 16 then, because that was I forgot, you've already said it and I've forgotten it.
What, the Capital One Arena?
Capital One Arena. I'm pretty sure if I look back on my notes that was the venue. So it's the same venue, the same show, 11 years apart.
Lovely.
So the attendance was 18,176 on the night, and the buy rate was a solid 650,000, which I think at the time, having a look at the other shows for that period, strong numbers. And if, I don't know about you, but I remember quite a bit of the show because I had it on DVD. It was one of the ones I used to watch fairly frequently.
Yeah.
And the quote-unquote star power on the show is pretty good on paper.
Yeah.
If you look at the...
There's a lot of big names in it for me.
Yeah, I mean, literally from top to bottom, I think the very first match all the way to the last match has a big name. I don't think there's one match off the top of my head where I think that's not got a big name in it.
Yeah, true, actually.
They might be fighting absolute dross.
Well, yeah, there is that.
But, and the show opening, I said it's very... Because they don't have the opening package. It was started off in the ring,
which for me is what I like, because I don't oh my god, words. This one to me I didn't remember.
Okay.
And I like going straight into it with no preview, because then every match is it's this. It's this. Whereas the later ones, they do the 3 minute build up, and I'm like, oh, okay, well they're in this, they're in this. Like, it gives me a preview of who's in it.
I think that's an interesting point you've raised. Obviously, for the way that we're viewing these for analysis of the show, it makes sense to not have that.
Yes.
But then I would want a little bit for each match beforehand, which they're actually doing this. So they've nailed it for the structure of our show. Yep. They've done it really well for us, which I don't think went into their thought process.
Absolutely.
There'll be a podcast in leafy England in about 15, 20 years. So we'll do it for them like this. Marines are the strong theme. We've got Lillian Garcia doing the national anthem. Lillian Garcia looking like she's trying to get someone ensnared for Catch a Predator. Don't get me wrong, she looked very nice, but like just the end of it was like the hair dipping days, wasn't it?
It was. That brought back memories. I remember. I didn't have it, but I remember it was the thing.
Very much in the 2005 era, wasn't it? It's like, this feels like Avril Lavigne kind of territory as well, because didn't she literally have the same kind of hair where she dipped it red at the end?
I don't know, but I just remember it being a very big thing.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting. The Marines are for great service, wonderful stuff that they're doing, but they don't know how to wear fucking trousers. Because the bottoms of those trousers were closer to their knees than they were their ankles.
True.
And the whole time I was looking at it going...
Oh, you're shaking your head?
So, yeah, I was shaking my head at a Marine, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
No, I know, exactly. I think he's probably done more for the world than I have at this point. But, I've still got time. We'll see. I've still got time.
Firstly, also, just putting it out there, I'm going to apologise. I'm going to be drinking the whole way through this, because it's either drinking or coughing.
No, we'll go with drinking.
Going with drinking. Just in case you hear a lot, I'm a loud... This sounds grim. I'm a loud swallower, as we know.
Baby.
So, it's either drinking or coughing.
And when you say "as we know," you mean the people that have heard the show know that.
Oh, yeah.
Because
not as in you. Well, you know, because you work opposite me and you have heard me before.
Just to clarify.
Yes, please. Thank you.
I said Lillian's got a good voice, but she holds some of the notes uncomfortably long. I found, like when was it? I want to say Fergie did the NFL halftime, and she was kind of holding things, then changing it up, and you're like, oh, stop.
Yes.
Yeah. Slightly touched upon that, but still I thought it was a good performance. And then we go, the opening show video package leads to announcer introductions, including Spanish, so I don't need to worry about that later in the show either.
Early into Hugo and Carlos.
Hugo and Carlos.
Hugo and Carlos.
You're doing your Tony D'Angelo impression.
No.
And from there we go into the opening match of the show.
Yes.
So now we have to address it as well, because Chris Benoit.
I know.
So Chris Benoit is going for the United States title against Orlando Jordan. Before we...
Who the fuck is Orlando Jordan?
So that was going to be my thing that I was going to say to you. So Orlando Jordan, my first question was going to be, do you know who he is?
No, because my first point literally was, who the fuck is he?
Okay, so Orlando Jordan was part of JBL's staff when JBL became the JBL that we see in this show.
Okay.
So it was, I think Orlando's official title was the Chief of Staff.
Oh, right.
Or something. I think they might have even mentioned it on this show. And eventually, I don't know if they're around at this time, but they brought in the Basham brothers. Do you remember them?
It rings a bell,
bald
but
guys
I'd have to see them to remember.
Okay. So the Basham brothers, one of them was actually on that OVW show. The trainer, bald guy that was talking to Al Snow, he was one of the Basham brothers.
Okay.
And Gillian Hall, was it?
Oh, yeah.
Her name? They were all part of JBL's cabinet, is how he termed it. And Orlando Jordan was in there. Now, a lot was expected of Orlando Jordan because he was athletic.
Yeah.
Good physique, good frame. Things went a little bit wrong for Mr. Jordan. And normally in a match where you're going up against Chris Benoit, you think that Chris Benoit would be the most drama-filled member of the match. And he is, to be fair.
Right.
But Orlando Jordan got fired for grooming a young boy.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so he wasn't around too much longer after this. I think a few months after this he was gone.
Okay.
I think the kid was like 15, 16, going like that, and there's just pictures of Orlando Jordan with his arm around him. So I didn't want to look too much into the details of it, but I know that formed the basis of him going. And he didn't really do anything else of note after that. He might have done some independent work, but never came back to WWE.
That's kind of the end of your career there, isn't it, really?
It is, especially on that level of stage. And I put, finally calling a Chris Benoit match, because I think even though we've done shows in the era, like Survivor Series, I don't remember him being on that show. I think he was injured at the time, which would explain why he wasn't there. And I said, I genuinely do not think Holly will know who Orlando Jordan is, and I'm pleased to get that right. What did you think of this match?
Well, blinked and it was finished.
Is that bad?
No. It was fun.
Quite happy
because
with
I didn't know. I think just because I didn't know who the other guy was, it was just a bit like, oh, okay. And then, literally, according to Google, that match was 25 seconds long.
Is this the research that you were doing?
I did a little bit of research.
Was it just for this match or for the whole?
There's some more.
Wow.
There's some more.
You've changed.
Well, only because we all find out what I was Googling. It's all of the same vein, really.
Right.
But yeah, 25 seconds long, and it was a bit like, oh, okay then, fine.
I think...
I'm not mad at it, but...
No, well, I'm not mad at it in hindsight, but at the time, I remember... Because again, my first viewing of this would have been when I got the DVD.
Yeah.
So when I see the card on the back of the box, I go, okay, so I've got this, and Orlando Jordan was being hyped up as you know, he's going to be a breakthrough talent.
Right.
And I thought, okay, putting him in with a guy like Chris Benoit, who's just an absolute veteran, expert in the ring, this could be good. And then what happened. I was like, I felt like I've been shortchanged. But like I said, now in hindsight, I've not got an issue with it. But at the time, I felt a little bit put out.
I feel like as well, because of everything else that comes in this pay-per-view, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, pay-per-view's fine,
I was fine with it being a short little match.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like you're shortchanged anywhere else.
No.
So I was alright.
But this wouldn't form part of the Holly W.
This doesn't account for anything.
So this is not. This is a blip on the radar. This isn't
to
even.
me would be like if there was a pre-show.
Okay.
This would have been on it.
Okay. So I said it starts with a quick cheap shot by Jordan. Benoit breaks out the German suplex, which is just lovely. Chris Benoit and the German suplex. Yep. You can say everything you like to him about what he did in, outside of wrestling, but for the purpose of when I'm doing this analysis, I'm talking about the wrestling side of things, unless for whatever reason it's bridged in a subject. But his German suplexes, for me, I think I prefer them to even Angle's and Brock Lesnar's, because he just hits it with such a... And his nickname is very fitting, the Rabid Wolverine.
Yeah.
Because he looks feral when he's doing this stuff.
He's so angry.
He is. Proper Dean.
Yeah. But, yeah.
I might have mentioned that the other day, by the way.
Oh, did you? Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not to them, so it's fine. And then pretty much straight into the crossface. Yep. And now this, John Cena, is how you fucking hook your hands in front of a motherfucker's face and wrench back. That is how you do it. And I put, now that's how to apply the hold. Orlando taps, and we have a new United States champion, as you said, in 25 seconds. You've hit the microphone. That's fine.
Not going wrong.
But, again, I, in hindsight, do not have an issue with any of that.
Now, that would piss me off. If it happens now, purely because, as I said, literally exactly as I said, because the pay-per-views now, to me, aren't loaded with the top quality, effectively. You've got your peaks and troughs. If this happened now, I'd be annoyed. But back then, I feel like it was all right.
Like you said, in a stacked era like that, it makes sense. Yeah. I'm trying to think what the equivalent would be for if they did a show now, who would be in that kind of position, and I can't think of a good correlation off the top of my head, which probably says...
Haven't there been some, though, like the Brock Lesnar ones, where he's literally come in and, like, done one move and then it's finished? Yeah,
or same as Goldberg. But that very much works with that character. Like, Benoit was never a guy that came in and smashed someone up in 4 seconds and that being done, so it's kind of an anomaly. So I'm trying to think, who's a veteran now? I guess, even though I'm not comparing their in-ring style, it would be like Randy Orton having a match with who's an up-and-coming... Let's say Carmelo... I only said Carmelo Anthony, he's a basketball player. Yeah, Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo goes to do something quickly, leapfrog, RKO, done. Yeah. That would be the equivalent for me. Okay, so then we go to a backstage segment. And we talk about, people's appearances and how they look. And I know this is bad timing in terms of how shortly thereafter he then passes away. Yes. But this is primo Guerrero look for me. Okay. So it's either this one or the long mulleted one that he had towards his later days in WCW, when it was a wet mullet and it looked a bit like Dom's, which is obviously why Dirty Dom's doing his look as he is now. For me, it's the best look. And I said, we see Vicky Guerrero, and it's the first time I can recall seeing her without her being drowned out by booze.
Yeah, see, to be fair, I was like, oh, her voice also is less annoying.
Not shrill, is it?
And she didn't say excuse me once, which...
See, this was before... She was just brought in... I don't think she was brought in for a story before this one, so I think this was her first ever implication in a wrestling angle on the WWE side. So basically what we've got here is Vicky trying to talk Eddie out of trying to break up Ray's family. And Eddie was actually a very good promo for the most part, but this wasn't one of his good ones. No. He was stumbling all over the place. He kept saying the wrong thing, but then trying to carry on. And, they got through there, but it certainly wasn't a masterpiece that he'd be getting any... Well, it wouldn't be going up on my fridge, put it that way. It's not one of his best bits of work. But then he accuses Vicky of being unsupportive and sends her off. Yeah. Short angle. I don't suppose you had much in the way of feelings on that one.
No, not really. I just did some more Googling, and the fact that this was in August.
Yes.
And he died in November.
Yes, 3 months.
Which I was like, Jesus Christ. Like, it's weird to think about, isn't it? Obviously, he didn't know that was going to happen. No one did. But I was just like, oh my God.
I remember his last match. Do you remember who his last match was against?
Oh, absolutely not.
Mr. Kennedy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was a SmackDown thing, I think, and they were building up to Eddie taking the world title again.
Oh.
Because the whole thing with Eddie Guerrero was that when he became WWE champion, the pressure he put on himself to be the best kind of broke him a little bit. So they took it off him to kind of let him not have to worry about all this kind of stuff. And they finally got to a position where they felt like he within himself felt he was ready to take on the title again, and they felt comfortable giving it to him. So I think they were building up for him to take it off Batista.
And
I think he was supposed to do it that month when he passed away. God. So they had to obviously change up plans on the fly, but very sad, obviously. And then we go into a match which I know you will have endless thoughts on. I'll let you do the initial talking on it if that's okay. And that's Matt Hardy against Edge with Lita.
She looks outstanding here.
Yeah, she was alright, wasn't she?
You have to say that.
I don't have to say that. Well, as long as I don't say sensational again.
Oh, yeah, you got told off for that.
I did.
Yeah, honestly, this is, for me, this is peak Lita.
I would agree. I think... Well, I mean, how would you describe what she was wearing?
Well, not a lot of it.
Well, exactly.
But, yeah, I honestly was so distracted by her.
You were distracted?
Yeah, she looked great.
She did. I mean, it was better than the match.
Well, yeah, I don't like this, like the fact that they used this. We know this. I didn't like it then. I don't like it now. And I didn't like Edge here either. His stupid little short haircut.
Coiffed hair.
I didn't like this version of him.
Coiffed hair was a theme on this show as well. There's another hairstyle that I have a dig at later on. But again, they've turned the real life situation that happened with Matt Hardy being out injured, Lita starting to travel with Edge, and then they had...
Getting fired?
Is it called an affair if you're not dating, if you're not married? What's the equivalent? I'm sure it is.
It's cheating, aren't you?
Cheating, there you go. Fair enough. Distinction without difference, I guess.
It's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, I just felt like the term affair sounded like it was more of an official...
it's more of a legal,
Yeah, exactly.
issue.
But then, as you said, Matt Hardy got fired. They had some really awkward back and forth on, was it WWE Bite This, that radio show?
Yeah, he literally called in and aired all their dirty laundry, and she was very dismissive of it as well.
She was. It was kind of very awkward because obviously there are two sides to every story, or three sides in this one, and you'll never know the true reflection of the picture. It's somewhere probably between all versions.
Right, it's there one side, the other side, and
I
then
remember
the truth, isn't it?
Lita, I felt very disappointed in Lita because I felt like specifically when she said, "Oh, how did she word it? Oh, I'm sorry if the guy's never had his heart broken before, but I don't have to be with Matt Hardy." And I was just like, "You bitch."
Yeah, I know.
At the time, I was just like, "Oh, that's outrageous."
Yeah, I don't know. Matt Hardy, you do end up feeling bad for him because in what situation don't you? He lost his job.
Yep.
He was injured anyway.
Yeah.
And then his girlfriend, who he's been with for God knows how long, starts banging his mate.
Well, I think it was like, they said 5 years. Oh, no, it's probably more than that, 6 years or something like that.
It's just crazy. And then you go back to work and then they're there every day.
But I don't even think the Edge-Lita romance actually lasted that long, I think they had to, a lot of what they did on screen was well after they were done with each other as well. Which probably helped from Matt's perspective, knowing that they weren't actually still together. I don't know. I'm just thinking if it was me. But the fact you have to then have a worked match with someone where you're throwing punches not to hurt them. So I was very much analysing all that stuff under the microscope in this show just to see how the blows were thrown. Yeah,
because I was watching and I was like, oh, it's it's a bit messy. And then I was like, but there was some moves towards the end and I was like, I actually think these are connecting properly, and I don't think that is...
I think it was supposed to. I think to be honest, looking at it, because of the way the match ended, something had to look that way.
Right. Okay.
If we go back to the Lesnar Randy Orton match, if Lesnar had just hit him with a couple of elbows and there'd been no blood and stuff like that, and the ref called it off, you'd go, well, what? Hang on, it doesn't know. Yeah. So I felt like they had to kind of do a little bit of that to facilitate the ending of the match that they wanted. Yeah. So the match starts obviously with, I put Lita looking in good form on this night, is the way I worded it. Holly has strong feelings on this, and I didn't just mean Lita, I meant the whole scenario.
Yes.
some commentary notes on this one.
Oh, okay, I've got one.
Is it what JR said?
Slobber knocker?
No, but Slobber knocker, that's a classic.
That is, I was waiting for that, and he said it literally very early on. I was like, yeah, absolutely.
No, the comment that I picked up on that he said was, I think he was talking to Coachman.
Yeah.
And he said, Lita not wanting to be between two guys. Come on.
Absolutely.
And I was just like, yeah. Yeah, she does, doesn't she? Dirty biatch. So we see Hardy run down and he and Edge start brawling outside the ring. Not the first time we'll see that start off a match on this show.
Yeah.
Referee rings the bell as they return to the ring and Matt puts a rear naked choke. And I said, what's interesting about that is when the match is supposed to be a wrestling match, they'll call it a sleeper hold. Yeah. When it's a fight, they call it the technical mixed martial arts term, rear naked choke.
Okay.
It's the same thing in principle because you're cutting off the blood flow on both sides of the neck.
Yeah.
But when it's a wrestling term, sleeper, fight type environment like this, rear naked choke. I wonder if that's something that, whether I've just picked up on it here, or if they do that in general.
Okay.
But interesting to look out for in the future. There's a chant of "She's got herpes" from the crowd.
Oh my god.
And Lita looking into the crowd and going, "No, I don't." Good to know.
I mean, yeah.
Good to know. I think I'd need proof, but
God.
Actually, I don't think I would, because how do you get the proof?
No,
let's not dive down that rabbit hole, so to speak. One, I didn't like how sloppy it was to begin with.
Yeah, it was messy. Yeah.
I think again that was by design as much as anything, because we both know that these guys can actually have a decent match.
Yep.
Taking the circumstances out of it, again, I still think they could have a decent match. But I did like when Edge speared Hardy between the ropes to the floor. I
actually didn't mind that.
That was good.
Yes, I would prefer it if everyone did that rather than stupid suicide dives. Because
I wouldn't.
To me it feels safer.
See, to me it looks more ropey.
Okay.
Because when you're throwing yourself out, you're beholden just to what you've done. Yeah. Whereas when you're tackling someone, if they don't go down properly, you can go down at a weird angle because the way they fall.
Yeah, I mean, that's
look at Big
true. E. Yeah, that is very true, actually.
And I never liked when Big E did it, and I'm not a massive fan of it usually, but this was about as good as you can ever hit that, I think.
I did like it.
In terms of safety, certainly. I said Matt's punches look wild, but not in a good way. Like, he's wild looping punches, but they're clearly not connecting. They're worked punches. They don't look good, but his forearms that he threw looked brutal.
Yeah.
Like, each one of them looked like they were properly ringing Edge's bell. Whether they were or not, who knows? Well, Edge will know, and I guess Matt will know as well. But then Hardy dropped face first on top of the ring post after he'd thrown the forearms. Yeah. What did you think of that?
He was eating some ring post, apparently.
He was eating some ring post. He was munching down, had his bib on, and he chowed down.
I don't know. I kept looking at it, being like, I can't work out if this was
supposed to
happen or not. Because when this ever happens, sometimes you can look and go, okay, well, you knew that was coming, and they were meant to hit it, but not hit, like it was meant to look like they were meant to hit it.
So, the way I would analyse something like this, and this is what I do going forward, how I try and ascertain if it's real or not, is the aftermath.
Yeah.
So, depending on how people react to it and what happens afterwards, usually you can tell if it was meant to happen or not. So, for example, do you remember when Cesaro hit the turnbuckle and then was frantically going for his teeth?
Yes.
That wasn't meant to happen, obviously.
Yeah.
I think this was meant to happen. Yeah. You actually could hear the crowd go, "Ooh!" when it happened, which is quite a nice moment, because you don't often get that kind of real reaction.
It was a bit of a stilled moment when people probably doing what we're doing and going, what's the result of this?
Yeah, is this real?
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah. I don't know if Hardy meant to block it a little bit more than he did, because it did look like he hit it harder than I think he probably would have liked to.
Yeah.
But the reason why I say it was supposed to happen like that way is because he bladed right afterwards. And if you fall face first like that down, your nose would do that.
Yeah, not your head.
You wouldn't cut, unless you caught it at an angle, you wouldn't cut your head, whereas he just has a cut up here, whereas he hit the... I'm putting my hand in front of my face, so if that's distorting the audio, I apologise. So that is why I'm pretty sure.
Right, I see.
Because he didn't have his nose
again, with the blood
and
stuff, this is me, I look and I go, is that real? Or is it a slice? So that
usually,
makes sense.
again, you can tell based on the reaction of the people and how clean the cut is as well.
Right, yeah.
So as we saw with Randy Orton, it was a jagged gash, like he'd been split, whereas the Hardy one, you couldn't see where it stemmed from, which means it was like a hairline cut, and because of obviously the adrenaline and the blood pumping, that's why it produces as much as it does. There's one match, and it was actually in this year as well. I think it might have been 2000. Yeah, it was Great American Bash 2005.
Right.
And it was when JBL, I think he took the title from Eddie, or it was either because they had a couple matches around pay-per-views at this time, and Eddie lost so much blood from a cut that he lost, I think he was borderline went into shock. He nearly lost a third of the blood in his body.
Oh my God.
From it, and it was dangerous. Like they had to give him a transfusion, I think, after the event.
Wow.
But that was about as bloody as it got, and then from there, the blood seemed to taper down a little bit in WWE. But
right, they realised probably
how close that could have been to absolute disaster. For me, I don't think you necessarily need blood in wrestling, but there are certain matches that it enhances.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, for example, a War Games match, which you have seen War Games matches. You've seen the WWE version. I think in that kind of environment, given what like I said, the environment itself, the cage, the weapons that always get involved, blood isn't unwarranted.
You'd kind of expect it.
Yeah, in like just a normal match, no, it's not needed. So after that, Hardy's kind of delirious, all basically. He comes back in pouring with blood. It's a bloody good cut. He then kind of falls into a little heap with a pile, and this is when Edge ratchets up the brutality, and I think this is probably what you were implying.
Those kicks there, it was then that I was like, they're not fake kicks, like they're to me they're probably placed correctly,
yes,
but they looked spot on,
and I think that's by design.
Yeah,
I think it's purely so the ref could have a legitimate reason to go, this is off. But the last one in particular, which they did the replay on, because I think what you'd want to do is kind of have your head go with it, so you're taking, there's no impact as such, which didn't look to be the case.
No.
But the match itself, didn't like as an overall package. The ending, I didn't mind on how it ended, but again, I struggle in this scenario where I know it doesn't always have to be the good guy ultimately wins, but give him a fucking break. I just feel like he's just a little puppy. Like, I just felt bad. Yep. In every promo, every match, I just end up feeling bad. He comes off like a second-class citizen. In this, and it's unfair. And I put Holly seething. Yeah, was my last comment on this.
Bad.
It's again, at least it was short.
Yeah, they didn't drag it out too long, which was good.
Which is interesting, because we've seen only 2 matches, granted, but both have been, well, one's been very short. The other one's been shorter than you probably expect it to be, and they both had interesting endings insofar as what you wouldn't expect.
True.
So we come on to the next match, and for me, so far in this podcast journey, this is the most notes I've taken on a single match by some distance.
Okay.
I think at this one, it's a full A4...
Took quite a few as well, actually.
There's a lot to dissect. There's a lot to unpack in this match.
Yep.
And the match I'm referring to is Eddie Guerrero against Rey Mysterio in a ladder match for the custody of Dominic.
Right. The storyline is stupid.
Okay.
Let's just be clear.
I'm not arguing.
But he's so cute.
He is a cute little bastard, isn't he? Yeah.
This was my research. I googled how old he was.
Yep.
So he was 8 at this point. And I was like, now... he's 26, and you think, actually, you know what, as much as I give him a hard time or I think he's XYZ, he's actually achieved quite a lot to say he's only 26.
He has, for sure. I think obviously
he's definitely had more help than others, obviously.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, okay.
He doesn't offend me like a lot of people do. He gets good heat. Like, it's not...
He's very good at being the character he is now.
Yeah, even when he was a good guy. I remember, I think we discussed this at the time, and I said there's no way that he's not going to be a heel.
No, absolutely.
Because there's too much you can dislike about the guy.
For sure.
And I mean that as a compliment in the context of wrestling.
Yeah.
Funny, at the time I remember thinking when I saw this, I was like, oh, what a cute little kid. Now I see him like, you piece of shit.
So
you little bastard.
But also, who dyes their 8-year-old's hair blonde?
Rey Mysterio.
Honestly.
But do you not remember when... Well, you don't, I guess, because Rey Mysterio was unmasked for a while in WCW, and he used to dye his hair blonde.
Okay.
When he was part of the... I think it was the Filthy Animals or something.
But, I mean, he's an adult.
He is, yeah.
Like 8 years old and he's got bleached blonde hair.
Well, to be fair, this was just after the bit where Michael Cole was still frost-tipping his hair.
Oh my god, frosted tips.
Yeah, I mean,
Jesus.
it was very much of the era. But then again, to be fair, when I was probably about...
Did you have frosted tips?
I didn't. I was naturally blonde, so I didn't need to.
Yeah.
Low-key flex.
Oh, yeah.
Not blonde now. A few of the guys, actually, to be fair, that
a lot of
the
guys I
football
went to
lot
school with all had frosted tips.
Yeah.
And they all went ginge.
Niall dyed his hair blonde.
Did he?
Yep. Niall dyed his hair blonde at
Wow.
one point. He also had a mohawk at one point.
Stop.
Yeah,
Need
I
to
wish I had
find
the
these
picture of that.
photos.
It was a Halloween party, and he went as what was it, De Niro in Taxi Driver,
Yeah.
and he shaved.
Wow.
So I was said, and he got in trouble at school for that because he's not allowed to do that. But
Tut.
anyway, I digress. I thought the blonde look for him was actually alright. I think he pulled the blonde look off quite well because I think he has blue eyes as well, so it kind of suited him. So Niall, if you're listening, that was a good era. I'm not saying go back to it. I'm just saying that it was alright. So the match itself.
Yes.
Well, I said, what court of law would hold this up?
Oh, imagine. Imagine.
But I also thought, because Ray suggested it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Ray, if you're suggesting that, I'm on the phone to social services. Take him away. If you're making these kind of haphazard decisions, you shouldn't be able to look after
No.
a child, yours or otherwise.
True.
This is an absolute disgrace. And I remember Dom. I thought Dom looked sweet. I said, but now I think fuck that guy, which
Yeah,
is great, and it
fair
kind
enough.
of goes back for me.
Someone in commentary, I don't know who it was, but they do say something. I think actually that's actually very sweet, and it's a
Michael
comment
Cole.
about just because you're not a biological parent doesn't mean you can't raise and love that child. And I was like, spot on.
It might have been Taz because both of them were very much on Ray's side in this one, and I thought
Didn't Cole say that he'd brought up
two
brought up
adopted
kids
boys.
and I was
Yeah.
like, actually, you know what? In the grand scheme of what this was about, I think a comment like that is spot on.
Yeah, I think the commentary team did very well on this.
Yeah.
Especially, it's like Taz and Michael Cole have got a lot of detractors out there,
Yeah.
but the way they played this match was very good.
Very
'Cause
good.
Taz was playing the role of on the verge of exploding and saying, "No, fuck Eddie, fuck you,
Yeah.
should kick his ass." But he kept just catching himself before he went to swear, which I think was good. And then, like you said, Michael Cole elaborates about how he's
Yeah.
adopted two boys, and it's nice. And like I said, as much as I love Eddie Guerrero, you do think, fuck Eddie,
Yeah.
which is great. I put Eddie's entrance music as a banger. Absolute banger. I love the lie, cheat, steal stuff. It's just really good. And I said, the comment that you put, I said 3 months before he's dead.
Yeah.
I said, and it's so sad.
It's so odd to watch as well, knowing how close that was.
Especially in the manner in which he went, because no one saw it coming, because at that
No.
point he was clean. All this damage was done from the years that had passed when he
Yeah.
was at tail end of WCW and then WWF in his early days, because he was let go from WWF.
Oh, okay.
He did some independent work. He was actually at the first Ring of Honor show. He had a match there. I think he had a couple shows for them, and then he got called back. But he still had some bookings, which was interesting. So when WWE brought him back in, they allowed him to honour the independent bookings that he'd made. So he appeared on WWE TV, won the Intercontinental title, took the Intercontinental title to a Ring of Honor show.
Oh, wow.
So I thought that was quite cool.
Yeah.
You definitely don't see that kind of
No.
stuff anymore. Ray's old theme, lovely bit of nostalgia for me.
Yes, absolutely. I was like, this is the entrance. Like, it takes me back.
I remember the lyrics for it, and every time
Do
it comes
you?
on, I have to sing it, and
Fair play.
Em just looks at me in disgust, to be quite frank. But that's just in most aspects of life at this point. Cole says, Ray's jacked up, and I said, no, that's the steroids. And that's when we learn about Cole's adopted boys.
Yeah.
You can see in Ray's frame, though, it's so much smaller,
Yeah.
more slighter than it is now, because he got on the gas after this period, because a lot of it could have been natural, but I'm just looking at that and the frame of you.
Yeah.
He kind of carries it differently now. He's kind of more keg-like, isn't Barreled.
Chested. Yeah.
he? More chested.
Chested. I couldn't think of the word, but like pigeon, not pigeon-chested, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like protruding.
Yes.
Rather than anywhere else.
But I think
really.
that's like the hangover from the work that he did back then, that his
Yeah.
body's just kept a similar frame as of now. But I mean, for me, this is the peak Mysterio form, or I'd even say maybe some WCW periods where he was
Okay.
a wisp of a man. but I'm really looking forward to showing you some of the cruiserweight matches on WCW because they were really, really good. It's all the type of matches and wrestling that you like.
Okay.
Like the stuff you'd like about Ricochet and all these guys.
Oh, nice.
Really good.
Okay.
But yeah, Eddie starts fast, and his back suplex, even a simple move like that, is great.
Yeah.
So he picks Ray up on his shoulder. Instead of just falling back slowly, he pulls him down to the ground. There's a snap to it, and it looks like it's deliberate with venom. Really, really good stuff. I mean, there's so many things to put down here. So Ray's thrown face first into the ladder, and Ed Lee kindly takes time to set the ladder, climb, and wait for Ray to springboard and drop kick him off.
Of course.
Because it's not a ladder match unless they do that.
Oh, absolutely not. No.
You must have had some notes about your frustration with that. There wasn't. Well, there was one bit later on which I know about, and I don't know if they kind of edit it out on the network, so I don't remember hearing it, but I'll tell you about it as we get there. But what's some of the stuff you've got down?
So again, I'd had the comment about, let's just wait on the ladder for something to happen, but I don't feel as a whole for me there wasn't too many incidents where it was too long. No. And I was like, okay, this is all right.
There was one,
yes,
which I will mention when we get there. Right, so Ray hits a baseball slide on the ladder into Eddie's face, and then hits a springboard seated sent onto the floor, landing on Guerrero's head. Yeah. I don't know how they did that safely.
No.
But it landed as well as you could ever expect that to land. But even now, because I've seen this match probably 5, 6, 7 times, I always forget that, and then when I see it I go, oh Jesus, because that's got to be, for you must have tensed up seeing that.
Absolutely. But there's another point in this match where I literally was like, brilliant, we're going to see someone break their neck, and it's a sunset bloody flip again. Stop doing them
off the ladder.
Yeah, and it's not correct, I don't think, because someone, I can't remember now, but someone lets go, or it just isn't connected, and then I've written that Eddie literally lands on his arse, but it's preferable to his head.
Yeah, I mean, I've pretty much noted all these key things here, but yeah, for sure. I said Mysterio's gear reminds me to take the bins out later for collection.
I thought the trousers, I forgot that he used to wear stuff like this, but it was so shiny. Yeah, the lights just bounced off it, and I thought, actually, if I'm going to make a comment about what people are wearing, I mean, they should do a light test before, really.
It's a well-lined bin bag, is what I decided.
He must be well sweaty in there.
And this is the bit I think you touched upon. So Eddie leaps over Ray and almost hits a sunset flip from the top of the ladder. I said Guerrero looks like he twatted his head off several rungs.
Yeah.
Like running a stick along a fence. You know, the dig. That's what I imagined Eddie's head was doing as it bounced down the ladder, which can't be a fun experience for anyone. Eddie then hits Ray with the ladder in the ribs, then drop kicks the ladder into his face. All very good, utilising the weapon there in a fairly safe format, for now at least. Someone in the crowd at this moment shouts, "Eddie, you're my dad too."
How do you hear this? Because
it was dead silent.
I don't take it in.
You just hear a guy go, "Eddie, you're my dad too."
That's brilliant.
Very much enjoyed that. Tope con Hilo sandwiches Ray between the two ladders, so the bit where he got body slammed on it, a ladder on top, over the top onto it, brilliant. Ray bridges the ladder and backdrops Eddie, and it's ugly.
Yes.
It is very, very ugly. It's... So he's in the corner, he stacks a ladder up, he runs up it, they go to back body drop him off, Eddie goes to land on the ladder, but the whole pyramid that they've constructed falls to one side. I don't know who gets the worst of it, because Eddie glances the ladder that's horizontal but still lands awkwardly, but then Ray lands on the ladder's side in a grotesque
I've just
angle.
literally written ouch.
Yeah,
because there's no way that doesn't hurt you.
And the part of that, you know, because Eddie was a bit of a perfectionist as well, you know, that would really have annoyed him that happened. Can't be helped. It wasn't anything one of them did necessarily wrong, it happens in that environment.
Yeah.
So Eddie uses a powerbomb fall-away rotation to drive Ray into the ladder. So this was where he had the ladder across the turnbuckle, and then Ray ran at him, and he went as if he was going to hit a powerbomb. Yeah. But then instead of powerbombing him, he falls back, so Ray lands across the top of the ladder.
That's what that is. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know how to describe that, so I said fall-away powerbomb type move.
No, it makes sense.
And then we see Dominic.
Oh, he's so cute.
Dominic comes out and shakes the ladder, goes,
But like, I mean, it just does nothing, doesn't it?
Does nothing.
But I know he's only 8, but it's very sweet.
It's very sweet indeed. And
it just hurt my heart a little bit. I was like, oh, my heart's already been hurt by Matt Hardy, and now you're pulling on my heartstrings.
But this is good because
again.
this isn't nonsense. But it dragged you in. You cared.
It did.
And then Eddie turns around, wags his finger like Dikembe Mutombo at him, going, "No." NBA player back in the day. Is when he used to block a shot and do it, where he used to wag his finger at people.
To me, that the finger wag is the Hulk Hogan.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep.
Fine. I see why you say that. Then Eddie goes down the ladder to him, and the interaction between Eddie and Dominic I actually found very amusing, because Eddie's clearly shouting at him, but he's trying to also remember, he's a kid.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Come on, don't you love me, S.A.? Give me a hug!" And like he goes from loving him to hating him, and then he wants to strike him.
I mean, talk about mixed messages.
Exactly. Maybe that's what it's like growing up in a Latin household.
Maybe.
I don't know, with Latino heat. But Ray gets there just in time, blocks before Dominic tastes Latino heat. We get 619 on the ladder, and I said it's levels of dumb.
This though, my shins.
Levels of dumb is what I was referring to. Exactly that. Because at the end of the day, you're not kicking Eddie, you're kicking a ladder with your shins.
Yeah. That did make me wince, actually. That did make me curl up on the sofa and go, oh.
Well, we've all walked into a table and just imagine driving your legs
intentionally.
Moron.
And I literally wrote exactly what you just said. I hurt my shins when I walk into my bed, let alone a ladder.
100%. But then Ray goes to climb the ladder, Eddie kicks the ladder, and Ray falls into a powerbomb, which was nice.
What's the difference between a powerbomb and a sunset flip?
So a sunset flip is a pinning combination, technically. Okay. So a sunset flip would be, let's say, I was running at you, you go to bend over as if you were going to flip me over. I then flip myself over your back, but then I hook onto your legs so I could pin you. Right, okay. Okay, a powerbomb is I'm flipping you up and then driving you into the ground. That's the key difference there. I think
it's just because I was watching it and I was like, they both looked so... But maybe because it wasn't executed...
But they would call it a sunset flip powerbomb if you're doing it from a height. So if someone's standing on the turnbuckles and then jumps over someone, then powerbombs them down because you're not pinning them. So that's the similar.
That's confusing.
No, I get it. But this one was when Ray was hanging off the briefcase and then just dropped, and then Eddie powerbombed him down.
Okay.
So this is great heel work by Eddie. Just the way his mannerisms, the way he's walking around the ring, stalking. Brilliant stuff, and there aren't many better at that when Eddie's in his full flow. So this is where things go wrong, and I don't know if you would have known about this.
Okay.
And I can't recall if it was edited on the network, but I can tell you what actually happened. So do you remember where Eddie pins Ray under the ladder and then goes to climb it? And then there's an awkward moment where he stands there for an age at the top of the ladder as Ray's struggling to get free.
Because isn't that when what's her name comes out?
That's when she was supposed to come out.
Oh, I see.
And I think they edited it because I definitely didn't hear it, but you can, in the live pay-per-view, I think you could hear Eddie go, "Where the fuck is Vicky?" at the top of the ladder.
Oh.
And because Ray was literally trapped, he couldn't get to the point to free himself. So
they can't do anything.
So they couldn't do anything. Vicky missed her cue or was sent out late. And then when Ray does get out, moves the ladder away, and then pulls Eddie down, Eddie nearly breaks his ankle and knee on the landing.
Yes, that looked horrendous.
Yes, and when he hit the floor, he was hitting the mat and going, "Where the fuck is Vicky?"
Yeah.
He was livid at that.
See.
Absolutely livid.
I liked I thought it was clever, though, putting him under the ladder. I liked that. I thought that's very clever.
And it would have been brilliant if that's when Vicky had hit her cue.
Yeah,
but then they had to... Because then what's Eddie going to do? You can't come down because it looks stupid.
But I was amazed he didn't break his ankle, I'll be honest.
And you could tell... And that only cemented his frustration with how that whole thing unfolded. Then we do see Vicky come out after 3 amigos onto the ladder. With the third of the 3 suplexes on the ladder. That's where I put Eddie screams, "Where the fuck is Vicky?" I don't think you can actually hear it in the...
I don't know. I mean, I didn't, but I don't hear what commentary are saying half the time.
This is true, so I think I'm pretty sure they've edited it.
To be fair, is a good... It's a sign for me of a good match. If I'm not listening to commentary, then I'm paying attention.
And I assume no Freddos have been consumed at this point.
I didn't have any.
Oh, of course you didn't.
I'm all out.
Oh God, Prosecco?
No, actually.
Oh my God.
It was a dry affair. Yeah.
Okay, dry affair.
It was a dry
The
day.
Matt Hardy story. Vicky comes out, she shoves Eddie off and then kind of tackles him to stop him getting up the ladder.
Yep.
Ray nearly blows out his knee when he retrieves it.
Oh God, that is awful. But also the Vicky thing, I'm sorry. Like that is a stupid thing for me.
It was fine. If Ray had done it slightly quicker, it's fine, because then you could believe Eddie's going like, what the fuck are you doing? Kind of thing. Like the shock of it rather than the physical force of Vicky Guerrero holding him back. And for however stupid it was that Vicky was holding Eddie back, it was enough for Ray to climb up to the top, get the briefcase, which apparently holds the custody papers in, because why not, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
And then Ray nearly fucks it all away.
God.
By dropping off.
Honestly, that was awful. I thought he's like dislocated his knee or something.
And the thing as well for Ray is, do you know what the majority of injuries have been on? His knees.
Oh.
So, I mean,
Jesus
just don't, really.
No, and he genuinely looks like after this, he struggles actually getting up.
I'm sure he
and
does.
Walking.
Yeah.
Honestly, ridiculous.
Yeah, because this was in the peak of him getting knee injuries every few months.
Awful.
And then we see Dominic come over the barrier, get scooped into the ring by the referee, and they have a nice little hug and a kiss. And Dominic is still... well, technically, no, Eddie's still his dad. Dominic came from Eddie's seed. This was confirmed. So, but Ray just gets to keep him. Did you not listen to the promo package of what's happened here?
The whole storyline is stupid.
It is stupid, but basically Ray couldn't have a kid, so Eddie gave them his seed. So Dominic is technically from Eddie, but doesn't explain how Ray and then his wife had a daughter after the fact. But let's not look under the hood of that. Let's not look under the hood. But yeah, we see Ray. I said I enjoyed the match. Actually, there were some messy spots in there. I did enjoy it overall. The two of them always work really well together. Yeah. Not my favourite of their matches together. That would probably be Halloween Havoc from '96, I think it was, or '97 in WCW. Really good. But yeah, it hit all the high points that I'd want.
I enjoyed it. The storyline was stupid.
But you cared.
I did care. I was invested.
So how stupid is it if you cared and were invested?
Oh, how stupid am I? I think that's more a question.
That's one for the psychiatrist to answer, not one for me, I'm afraid. And just to finish it off, I've described it as a hot mess of a match, and then we finish with Ray twatting Eddie with the briefcase for good measure.
Of course.
Everyone. I was going to say go home's happy, but we're about a third of the way through the show.
Yeah.
So, from there we go backstage.
Yes, we do.
And we see the wonderfully coiffed hair of Chris Jericho.
It's awful.
It is awful. And the only thing that's more distracting than the length of his hair is the shade of red that his eyes are.
Oh.
He looks like he's been out the back having doobies with RVD.
Hotbox.
Honestly, he's been on a Mike Tyson podcast recently. He either hasn't slept or he's had shampoo in his eye, which we can all relate to and is horrendous. I said as well, this isn't really an era of his, because it's kind of between a couple of them, because he left quite shortly after SummerSlam to go and do a load of tour work with Fozzy. I think because I think this was supposed to be the last night of his contract.
Right, okay.
And he was done after this. But they then told him the next day, they said, we need you on Raw.
Oh.
And he went, no, my contract was SummerSlam was the end of it, that's me done. And anyway, then like, oh no, Vince has to have you on Raw for the show. And then they did an angle after that, which I'll touch in more detail on after the match that they have later on in the card. So Jericho was not happy about how any of that went down, and that was the first time he took a sabbatical from WWE to focus on his other interests. One thing noticeable about his face, other than his hair and his blood-stained eyes, was his mouth, which was the exact shape and puckering of a cat's arsehole. It was like really, and it kind of reminded me of the suited and booted era that he hit in the late 2000s, where he was always kind of doing that, and it's just it's not one for me. No. I can't imagine one for the ladies or any of the fellas that find him attractive. No, for that matter. Basically, Jericho says he'll take the WWE title from Cena. That was the extent of that interview.
Yeah, and what I took away from that was, Cena, is it time? Is it going to be my favourite era of John Cena? And I was just left hanging.
Well, yeah, because we don't go to that match yet.
Nope. No. Oh,
the match we do go to, which I know Alfredo would have been consumed during this portion.
I wished I had some at this point.
So, we go into Eugene with Christy Hemme against Kurt Angle. Now, before we cover the match in detail, when Eugene came out with Christy Hemme and he lifted her up in that cheerleading pose, first question, what's that called?
Oh, God, I knew you were going to ask me that. I don't remember.
Okay, whilst you're thinking of that, the second thing is, my missus, I think she was watching something on Netflix on the sofa next to me, I just heard a loud click to stop whatever she was listening, took her headphones off, looked at me and said, let me guess, sensational? And I went, not really actually, but
that's funny. And
then she laughed and went back to what she was doing. So you still don't know the name of that
honestly
lift.
Today is not the day for me to be thinking.
Fine. It is the eve of Christmas Eve.
Isn't it just?
Did Christy Hemme actually have a cheerleading background? I have no idea.
I have no idea, I'll be honest.
She did well with that lift, to be fair. I thought that looked good.
I don't know. I didn't Google it. I didn't even know who she was.
Oh, so she was a Diva Search contest winner.
Oh, okay.
She might have even been the first to win it. Later on went and did Playboy, of course, as they all did in that era.
Why not?
And yeah, she was basically an awful wrestler. They tried to train her up to be a wrestler.
So effectively she just stood at the ring and looked pretty. That was her job.
Effectively, yeah. She wasn't, she just couldn't...
That's what it's called.
Couldn't cut the mustard in the ring. And here she's put with Eugene, Nick Dinsmore.
Yes.
This is the first Eugene match we're covering, because we covered him appearing at ECW One Night Stand, but he didn't have a match.
No.
And we went into the backstory of the Eugene character, which I think is nice.
Yes.
And I really like Eugene. I know it's probably you're not supposed to, and like most wrestling fans would get to say, oh, it's awful. And it's not good.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I always quite liked it, to be honest.
I just don't know, it makes me feel odd.
Is this talking about looking at it from today's modern perspective?
Probably.
Okay. Because back then I just thought it was quite funny.
Yeah, I suppose back then I would have. Especially also being at that age I would have been.
Yeah, 17? Like
probably, yeah. But now, I don't know, it makes me feel uneasy.
It does, but I think it's because and this is more of, like I said, a modern... If you look at everything in the bubble in which it was, for me... the reason why people get uncomfortable when they look back on things like this is because they know how they would have reacted at the time.
Yeah.
And let's be fair, I think what we're saying here is both of us at the time wouldn't have thought twice about them putting something like this on there. But if they do it now, you kind of go, oh, that's not accepted this day and age, and you kind of bristle under the idea of it. I still think you can enjoy something for the period of the time and not have to necessarily feel guilt about it. And it wasn't massively egregious in comparison to some of the other stuff. Like, we're not talking about Muhammad Hassan. Like, when he came out, you don't even know who that is, do you?
I just saw the look of confusion.
Okay, I'm not even going to touch upon that now, but he's like, that's a very... At no time do you look at that. Or the Katie Vick stuff we mentioned before. You never look at that and go, that's okay.
No. Okay.
So, I was actually alright with Eugene at the time.
Okay.
But he's going up against one of my boys.
Yeah.
Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
And
I mean...
So the gist of this story, as I understand it, from the package that they showed us, is Angle was putting up his gold medal for anyone who could last, was it 3-5 minutes with him?
Yeah.
Eugene didn't beat him, but Eugene survived the time period and therefore got his gold medal.
I see. Yes, because I didn't understand.
That was the background going into this. Simple enough. And this was the period where we started to see Kurt Angle go from that kind of goofy character to the I'm going to rip you apart character, which we saw in full bloom at ECW One Night Stand the following year.
Yeah.
The match. Wow, what can you say about the match? I said, well, Christy Hemme, she's a thing.
She's a thing.
And then what was the cheerleading lift called? I guess we'll never know. You'll have to find out what that is and let me know at some point, because that is going to play on my mind for some reason. Angle's pyro is delayed. Very awkward. So the pyro's supposed to go off when he puts his hands up in the air. And the pyro just didn't go off. He started to walk and then it went off. And I was like, that's a little bit awkward. Kind of goes against the fierce, intense persona that he's trying to give off here.
Yeah.
Now, the first thing that happens in the match, I really enjoyed. He doesn't wait for the introductions. He just gets in the ring, walks right across and punches Eugene straight in the face.
Yeah.
Strong.
It works it works for the match, and it works for his character that he was building, effectively.
It feels like he's been wronged, and like, I'm going to get my medal back, and you're not going to stop me.
It's like he's kicking a puppy again. Fucking kicking puppy matches.
I liked it. I thought this was exactly what was needed, and you can tell that the guys are very much in Angle's corner, because every time he does something, there's that guttural to back it up. Not with Eugene, who's obviously supposed to be the babyface in this match. He's just not fucking about. German suplexes. Eugene ends up in the heavens. He's just throwing this man around.
Yeets him.
But then, from out of nowhere, and one of Eugene's traits was to take other people's...
I loved this.
I did.
I actually thought this was very clever that they did this.
Because you would, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Because if you had some sort of special needs and you try to be a wrestler, the first thing you're going to try and do is mimic what you see.
For sure.
And he does it well.
It's very good, yeah.
Nothing he does like that is bad, and he hits a rock bottom and gets a very, very, very close two. So he goes to then hit a Stone Cold Stunner. The first stunner's countered, as is the Angle Slam attempt that follows, but the second stunner hits, but he only gets two again.
Yeah.
And at this point, if you didn't know the outcome, you think, surely he's not going to walk out the winner here. Because I assume you don't know the outcome of the match going into it.
No, absolutely not.
But I assume as well that you would think, well, Angle's got to win this.
No, I said, well, yeah, my head goes, surely this only ends one way. But then my heart goes, oh, but maybe.
So you were invested again.
Yeah, I know.
Brilliant.
I don't know maybe this is what happens when I don't drink and eat Freddos when I'm watching these
Well, I
things.
was about to say getting softer in your older age. But
Yeah.
and then Eugene applies the ankle lock himself, but Angle escapes it, as you'd expect to be. If he's the proponent of the move, he'd know how to get out of there, and he proves that to be the case. Angle slam follows, and then when Kurt slaps the ankle lock on, Eugene has to tap out.
Of course.
Again, perfect length of match for this.
Yeah, it was fine. It wasn't too long. It wasn't as short as Benoit's match earlier.
Yep.
And absolutely fine.
Yeah,
Wasn't mad about it.
Agreed. Like I said, we've had three fairly truncated matches, shall we say, but not one of them was I upset that it finished when it did, which is the mark that they've done well. Angle looks like he's not going to be done with it, because he goes outside, gets a chair, comes back into the ring, and they're like, oh no, come on, Angle, you've had your victory, leave it at that. Christy throws herself over Eugene to protect him. Okay.
Fine.
She's pushed aside, and Eugene's just thrown out the ring, because what Angle wants is to be coronated again as with his Olympic gold medal.
That was very clever.
Puts the chair out, stands on it, bends down, the ref puts it on.
That was clever.
Nice little touch.
Yeah.
I like that. This whole thing, short and sweet, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fine.
Worked.
I remember also, when I was younger, Kurt Angle's matches used to bore me.
Really?
But actually watching them now, I'm alright with it.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what was wrong with my brain back then, who knows. But yeah, I remember just being like, ugh, a lot of eye rolling. But now watching it being like, no, I get it now.
You appreciate what he brings to the table. Yeah,
again,
no, I think that's
getting
good.
soft in my old age.
But I think it's just taste change as well, don't they? Because things that I would have enjoyed back then. Well, we talk about one of the episodes we did for the 12 Days of WrestleMania, even so much as like physical appearance of someone, we talk about, the three sexiest ladies and three sexiest guys. Back then, I would 100% put Trish on the list. Would she be on my list now? No.
Yeah.
So, I don't think it necessarily means that you're getting soft or losing your touch. It's just, taste change.
Well, this will be interesting, this next little bit you're going to
Well, I segued quite well there, actually, unintentionally, because we go to a car wash scene, as I've called it here.
So fucking weird.
And this was the moment when, this is probably more for any guys that are listening out there, which is probably going to be most of our listener base, is when you're watching something on TV, and it could be like wrestling like this, or something you're not supposed to be watching, whatever it is, and then your parents in the room with you, and you're just like, oh my God, and you just feel so uncomfortable with the whole thing. Watching this when your wife is on the sofa, she'd spotted it, she didn't care about it, to be fair, and I'm just sat there going, right, don't look at the screen too often, because then there's no way she can accuse you for enjoying it. Just write stuff down, look away, go, oh, this is still going on, look again, go.
Honestly,
so basically,
it went on for so long.
So there's a succession of 4 or 5 women in bikinis, as I understand it. I didn't catch all of the people, because like I said, I was trying not to watch too much. I think there was Ashley Massaro, Tori Wilson, Candice Michelle,
Oh, that's...
She's the one who broke her collarbone in a
Yep.
horrific fashion. Stacy Keibler
Yes.
was there, and I think there was someone else that I might have missed.
Don't know.
But they're there all washing this limo, and I say washing the limo. I
They're
mean,
just creaming it down by the looks of it.
Candice Michelle was creaming herself down by the looks of it because she wrung out the sponge
awful.
on her chest. She wasn't even facing the car. Like, I'll be honest, I'd sack her.
I mean, if that's my car,
Yeah,
I'm like, are you actually going to put anything on the car?
I'd ask why you've gone to that drive-through. To be fair, the TNA drive-through.
Yes.
And of course, and
Ugh.
the only thing that my missus did pipe up and said, she went, Vince had better not be in that limo.
Of course he fucking was.
Of course he is. We go back.
Jacking off in the back of it.
Exactly. Oh yeah, pal. The window comes down, goes, because on the side of the limo it says the president.
Yeah.
Goes, why not, hey?
Yeah.
And
Honestly.
then my missus just goes, oh, what a fucking creep.
Yeah.
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 That pretty much encapsulates
Yeah.
everything that
Spot
we're
on.
supposed to think about this. And
Spot
we move
on.
on from the car wash scene.
Honestly.
Let's talk about from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
So we've got a puppy kicking match.
Yep.
Lots of soapy boobs. And then we move on to The Undertaker against Randy Orton.
It's so odd to me to put that segment before this fucking match.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, okay, right, my brain is all over the shop here.
Recalibre to go
Yeah.
again. Yeah. So this is a feud that had been going on for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that Randy Orton was the legend killer.
Yeah.
This was before the Viper and the Apex
Yes.
Predator and all that
I
stuff.
actually know this now. I have a timeline
Yep.
when I think of him in my head now of...
He was going through and he was just RKOing anyone who was considered a
Absolutely.
legend in wrestling. And WrestleMania that year, I think it was WrestleMania 21 in 2006, he had a match with Undertaker to try and beat the streak.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. Undertaker still beat him. The feud continued, went on to SummerSlam, which is where we are here. Because we haven't really had a true Deadman Undertaker match, we've had the American Badass at
Yeah.
Survivor Series 2001. What do you make of the whole Undertaker mystique and like the entrance? What's your
I like
thoughts?
it.
I do.
My first comment here. Great entrance. Makes me feel a bit nostalgic. I'll be
I think that's
honest.
fair. I didn't know how you'd take it.
Yeah, I liked it. The only thing I don't enjoy is the eye rolling. Like,
That's
we
good though.
know you're not dead.
But it's
like,
good.
We know you're obviously alive. Like, I was just like, oh, and it's annoying. Because I was just like, for me also, this is similar to the neck thing, although I don't really have a reason. I'm like, what happens if you do that? I'm a horrendous eye roller, right?
Yeah, you
this.
are. Yeah.
But I obviously can't do that with my eyes. But I just think, A, you shouldn't be able to do that with your eyes. And B, what if they get stuck?
What if the wind changes? All right, Grandma.
No, but I'd be so... I joke and say I'm so scared that one day I'm going to eye roll so hard that my eyes are going to like not come back round.
Yeah.
But I don't like it. Bottom line, don't like it.
I can't do it nearly to that level, but
No, I don't
yeah,
like it.
it's amazing to think the longevity of that character, because it was so of the era when he came into the WWF in 1990.
Yeah.
That to have, if you told me that, well, don't get me wrong, if I knew what I know now and saw this character debut back then, you said, would he be around in 30 years' time? No. Because you can't. How can you? It's too gimmicky. There's basically in the early 90s part of WWF everyone had to have a vocation. Like, you couldn't just be a wrestler. You had to be a bin man. You had to be a thief. You had to be a mortician, a clown. Like, it goes on and on and on. And for him to be able to adapt and stay relevant for as long as he did, credit to him. Like I said, I hated the American Badass time.
See, I didn't mind that.
I know you didn't, mainly because of the song, I think, personally.
Yeah, more likely.
For him to have stayed relevant as long as he did, fair play to him. And for this to be, 2006, so still 16 years after he debuted, and for it to still make me think, this is good.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how you'd take it, because I thought you might go, oh, it's long, it's boring, get on with it.
No, I actually quite like it.
Okay.
I do quite like it.
And I said, this is levels above the American Badass. Although I could do without the MMA gloves.
Yeah, they're a bit pointless.
I don't understand where they being WWE, got this idea that The Undertaker's the purest striker in wrestling. What does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like pure? What's he like? Is it a Catholic thing? What? I don't understand what they're referring to. And he was never known for throwing like rights and lefts. So where they've like pulled this information from, I couldn't say. And the MMA gloves just could be done with that because he never used to have them. He used to have those long. Are they mortician's gloves?
I don't know, but I know what you're talking about. To me, they look like the glove you put on if you're in school and they take a photo of you holding a bird.
Yes, like falconry or something. Or really thick marigolds.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess maybe he just felt he always had to have gloves. I don't know.
Maybe he doesn't like his hands.
Well, he might not like his hands, but he definitely doesn't like what's on his neck. Did you spot what he had tattooed on his neck?
Absolutely awful. But that's his ex-wife's name, isn't it? Because I know obviously now he's got a different tattoo there because he's not married to...
Did they change the tattoo or did they just get rid of it? I thought they got rid of it.
Oh, I thought he had something over the top of it.
No, I'm pretty sure they got... He might have something there now, but I'm sure he got it lasered off.
When he married McCall.
Yes. And again, I might be in the minority, but I really like Randy Orton's entrance theme. I don't know what it is about it. I just thought it was quite good.
I think also we should do a tally of who we've seen the most of, because again, they're all in this pay-per-view as well. Yes. Can't get away from them.
Well, Baron Corbin isn't.
No, but I think it's got to be between Cena and Orton.
Well, yeah, but if you look at the era in which we've watched the shows,
I know.
It has to be.
Think every time I'm like, hang on.
Well, when we start watching older shows, you'll be sick of Hulk Hogan. Trust me.
I fucking will, I tell you.
If this show's anything to go by. As well, the Undertaker, the guy liner.
I did make a comment and say, Undertaker's doing his eyeliner like I first did when I was 12.
I was about to say the same thing. It's been done...
What, when you were 12?
No, I had someone else doing it for me. I had
but it's that awful... It's not on his eye.
No,
it's about an inch south of his eye.
Yeah, it's someone who doesn't know what they're doing has done that. And to be fair, if I was doing that to myself now, that's probably how it would end up looking.
Yeah, well, I reckon he does do it himself.
Yeah, well... I was about to say he got his eye in better after, but yeah, it looked poor.
Yes.
It looked like a kid who was dressing up for Halloween, is what I thought.
Yep.
So, Orton jumps out the ring because it's good heel work, but then gets bitch slapped by The Undertaker, which I was a big fan of. I know you don't like it, but it's good ring craftsmanship, shall we say. It's playing to the crowd to get them riled up, and again, as much as I dislike a lot of Orton's matches, it's good. You're looking at your notes with a face of confusion.
I honestly know what I was thinking. I wasn't even drinking when I watched this.
I don't care what I've got written down here now. The next thing that's got to be said has got to be whatever you've got written down in front of you there.
Orton showing off his thick and juicy thighs still fucking would.
Yes, even without the shaved head.
Honestly, what was I thinking?
His thick and juicy thighs. Was that the KFC family bucket?
Maybe I was hungry when I was watching this. Jesus.
Thick and juicy thighs.
And juicy. I mean, they are, but...
You're a predator.
Honestly. That's so weird.
I don't even think I actually mentioned his thighs in this, weirdly, which is unlike one of us to do that. Undertaker hits the ropes hard, like he's trying to snap them.
Yeah.
So when he's running the ropes, he kind of throws his fall back into it.
Because he's so tall.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has to do that because he is so tall. Like,
maybe.
If he's going to run at them normally, would he literally flip over the top? I don't know. Because he's always got quite a long lean.
Yes.
If you know what I mean. And I wonder if it's just a height thing.
Maybe, or that's just the way he learnt to run the ropes.
Yeah.
Like, because it's all about stride pattern as well, isn't it? So, but then, he then boots Orton hard. Thankfully, the old school gets countered, as it should.
Exactly what I wrote. Because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Why wouldn't you do that? Why would you stand and watch someone
and then hold their hand?
Also, an older man, he ain't doing it quick, is he? It's not like he's bounding up there. It's a 5-minute job for him to get to the top.
I think he was 40s.
It's just
there.
Yeah, like
early
to me,
40s.
Every time I see that move, I'm like, well, why wouldn't you?
Did it annoy you before I said it annoyed me? Because I feel like the first time I brought it up... Yeah, to me it's just
pointless.
Okay, good.
It's pointless.
No, good. And arm drag, way to counter it, I've not got an issue with. The one I'd always quite like to see is, and I understand why they don't do it, is because I'm thinking if someone's holding my hand and they're walking across the ropes, I'm running and pushing them, so they're going outside.
Yeah, true.
But then again, that's far more dangerous. And again,
true.
if I'm thinking, well, if he's got my wrist and he goes, do I go...
Does your wrist go with him?
With him, yeah, exactly. So, yep, Old School gets countered. Taker's flipping clothesline looks unnecessary. So he does this. He used to do it better in the 90s, where he'd run, instead of just hitting a clothesline, he'd kind of do this flip into it, so it looks more impactful. But why? You're like 6'10".
Yeah.
You don't need to do that.
Yeah.
You're like a walking brick shithouse. You should just be knocking things down as you go. But alas, he tries to do it here and it doesn't look great. I love the ref running away from the dead man as he turns to face him. It's a nice little touch where he goes to admonish the Undertaker of something. The Undertaker just literally turns at him, walks, and the ref runs and jumps out the ring.
So silly.
It is silly, but I like that silly.
Works, but
I like that silly. Like the same if like Brock Lesnar did that. I would have no issue with
that. To me, is more believable.
But Undertaker in this environment is supposed to be.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, well that's what I'm trying to bear in mind.
Thinking too, like literally, I think.
Yeah. Taker misses a boot in the corner. And then Orton starts working over the leg, which looks very good. There was a bit where Orton literally threw himself. So I think Undertaker's leg was draped over the bottom rope.
Yes.
And Orton just jumped from the position he was in to land on it. And it looked good because it looked like he capitalised on something.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hang on, I've got this, rather than, what's the next move?
Exactly.
I've got to go and do this. I thought that was a nice touch. And then this is where Orton just starts to take over. And the pace slows and I'm losing interest at this point.
Yep.
It's now turning into a slow Orton
match. My notes started to dry somewhat, and I'm like, one of them literally just says, slower pace.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Very noticeable. And this is a detrimental thing that Orton has in a lot of his matches. But not that Undertaker's overly high octane himself.
No.
Pair the two together, it's probably going to end up like this. Taker starts to return fire. He goes for the knee of Orton himself, but he's cut off. And then Orton goes to go for the leg again in the same fashion that I mentioned, where it was over the bottom rope.
Yes.
And he hits it twice, but on the third attempt, Undertaker has his boot up Orton's fanny, as they'd call it in the States, and sends him sailing over the top rope with a push. You could see it coming a mile off because Undertaker's literally resting the back of his foot on Orton's arse. But again, I'm not particularly angry at it.
No.
We see the apron leg drop by the Taker.
Yep.
And again, I quite like that move in the repertoire.
Yeah, fine.
It's good because that can't feel nice in any way. I mean, I dread to think of the damage that Taker was doing to his own hips when hitting that, because it's like a metal rim that he's landing on effectively. And then he does hit Old School and I'm sad.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought, it's been countered. Great, we don't need to worry about this again. Comes back and hits it, and Orton doesn't look any worse for wear than he did when he tried to hit it the first time. Just do the same again.
Yeah.
Just get that out of the arsenal.
Yeah.
Because they go, it's impressive for a man of that size, and it is to a point, other than the fact that he's being held up by the other guy's hand. I could probably do that. I don't want to try.
No.
But you get my point. And then we hit Snake Eyes. So Snake Eyes is when Taker has someone on his shoulder, runs, throws them, and then they hit their face on the turnbuckles.
Oh, that bit, yeah.
They call that Snake Eyes. He then goes to hit the running boot, which he does afterwards, but Orton snaps up with a drop kick.
Yeah.
Very nice. And then the RKO attempt is thrown off.
Yep.
3 tombstone reversals. So Taker picks Orton up, Orton reverses, holds Taker, which is very impressive.
That was, yes.
Taker then does the same, but then it's countered one more time. Orton hits that weird backbreaker that he does, grabs the neck, falls down over his own back. Chokeslam by Undertaker, and then a fan hits the ring.
Oh, yes. I was like, what's going on? I'm so confused.
So did you... Obviously, you didn't know anything of this match either going into...
No, nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
So what did you think was happening when...
I was like, hang on, who the hell is this guy? Is this real? Or is this planned? I was so confused.
So...
And then obviously I saw what happened. I was like, of course.
There's a distraction. They managed to get this fan out of the ring.
Yep.
And then we hit an RKO out of nowhere.
Of course.
Randy Orton hooks the leg. The pinfall follows.
Hit one, you know. And what's the difference of out of nowhere? Like,
I know. It's the same impact.
It's normal.
I guess they would say in boxing or in any fighting sports, it's the one that you don't see coming that hurts the most. That's the one that knocks you out.
It's just, they're always out of nowhere. Like, every move is out of nowhere.
And then as Randy Orton's leaving the ring, going up the entranceway, we see them pull the face off the fan.
Well, they tried, didn't they?
Tried. It was good prosthetic work.
Stuck on very well.
And we see it is Bob Orton. And do you know who Bob Orton is?
His dad.
Randy Orton's dad, his old man, who was a headliner at WrestleMania 1 in fact. Helping his son. They both do the Randy Orton pose. Yeah. Undertaker summons the demons. Was it lightning, and then his own music started playing, then the eye roll thing, then he leaves, and then...
Yeah, but my notes say, who is possibly alarmed by someone 15 years older than them limping after them up the ramp? No one.
Randy Orton.
No one.
Randy Orton.
Absolutely not.
What did you think of the match?
It was alright. I didn't hate it. Didn't love it. If I'd had a Freddo, would I have eaten it? Absolutely.
Really? So this was... Okay.
Yeah.
That particular portion of the match, I'll agree with, when the pace went right
the
off.
second half.
Yeah, the second stanza.
Yeah. Second paragraph.
Okay, fair enough.
It's just a bit... I didn't hate it. Didn't love it.
Okay, I thought it was alright.
Yeah.
It was a bit longer than I'd have liked it to be.
Actually, it could have been a bit more condensed.
Cut out some of the stalling in the middle portion of it.
Yeah, true.
But it wasn't...
It was alright.
I didn't hate it, but it wasn't great. Now we come on to the other man, which we've seen almost as many times as anyone else in this podcast journey, and that is John Cena defending the WWE title against Chris Jericho.
Oh, good. I'm glad we're not talking about the middle bit that was in between those two matches.
Was there a bit in between?
There was some politics bullshit.
Oh, I didn't even write that down when they were introducing these fuckwads in the crowd.
No, thanks.
No, I couldn't care less. Oh, WWE have been represented by both parties.
Just
no one cares.
Don't care.
I won't start writing it down.
Care.
I don't want to write it down.
Some politics shite was my note.
Yes, I think that summarises it beautifully.
Yep.
So, John Cena defending the title against Chris Jericho.
Yes.
This is...
it's spinning title time.
Spinning
so
title time.
So freaking happy. So happy.
Right. Jericho's coiffed hair is atrocious.
Yes.
It is worth saying again. I know we mentioned it earlier, but it is that bad. It needs to be addressed twice. John Cena gets cheered.
That is my first point. I literally wrote, oh my god, is Cena actually getting cheered? What is going on?
I followed it up with, Holly will be pleased. He would be booed not long after this.
Oh.
So this is the tail end of everyone.
Is it right? When is he the bloody master?
No!
Doctor.
Yes.
Thugonomics.
Doctor Thugonomics. This is still
even in my notes I've written master, doctor, I don't know
He's
what
got a PhD, Holly.
I bet he has.
Bet he does. Not all those vitamins he's been taking. So he was still technically in the Doctor of Thugonomics.
Okay. I was just happy. I saw he was
with
wearing...
the chain gang.
And I saw he was wearing Jordans.
Mm-hmm.
He had... His jorts were longer.
Yeah.
And I was like... And the title spinning, I was like, I'm on for it here. He might actually pump his trainers up.
He wasn't balding.
No.
Didn't have a comb over. Didn't have his Bobby Charlton on.
No.
It's
this is my favourite John Cena around this time.
I would
a little bit earlier, but
a little bit earlier for me.
I was very happy.
And like I said, it wasn't long after this that the tide started turning on public opinion in terms of how he was received by the fans. And actually, you hear it in this match as the match goes on. But he was cheered when he first came out, which, like I said, is a point to note based on what we've seen in the other shows we've covered. They start off with the two going nose to nose, just to get intimate. Ask what they're doing for dinner later, see about their plans. And then Cena's right hands look awful, is my first note. And he looks so much greener and unprepared than I remember him being.
Yeah.
Like, even compared with some of the stuff we've seen now, we do criticise, how he goes about his matches and the stuff he does within them. But seeing some of his earlier work, it's noticeable how much he actually did improve. Because the right hands he was throwing here were horrendous. And I said he stands like he's learning to walk after having recovered from a car crash. Like he's got polio.
Actually.
Like he stands like this when he's doing stuff. And
I never noticed that, but
really odd.
I'm just going to open this packet of mints
just to
clarify what the noise is in the background.
Yeah. So again, Holly is suffering from a cold of some description.
Who knows what it is?
Do you want to get a few mints out to save a little bit later on? This is how good this match is.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
This is how good this match is that Holly's like, do you know what? I need to get loads of mints out.
Thank you.
No, you're more than welcome. I mean, it's rough and ready anyway, so it's not like this is a finely polished machine. But yeah, the way he stands is just...
It's odd, actually. It's like a freshly born giraffe.
A freshly born giraffe, and there it is.
They stand up straight away.
They can do. I mean, but Cena just...
That is how they stand.
But it's like it's Tom Hanks in Forrest Gump.
Like he's got rickets.
Rickets, yeah, exactly that. Or some sort of polio.
Odd. Yeah, now you mention it, it's one of those things that, you visually see it, but you don't really take it in, and then someone else says it and you go, hang on, yeah, that is weird.
When he's running across the ring, I'm expecting to hear a gunshot and then hearing Bambi's mum had died.
Oh, God. Stop.
So, Cena tackles Y2J on the floor, and it's horrendous. Misjudges it.
Yeah.
Just kind of clatters into him. Okay. Great drop kick by Jericho out the corner later on. Nice. Jericho seen talking to Cena mid-Irish whip.
Oh.
So they went to, I think it was a last-minute audible call by Jericho, because Jericho says, no, we're going to do something different, basically, and then throws Cena out the ring.
Okay.
Which was...
Makes a change that it's not Cena telling people what to do in the
But my
match.
guess is because it's Jericho would very much have been taking the lead on this match, because he's the veteran.
Yeah.
So I think that's why that was the case. Y2J drop kick to the floor, and he chokes Cena with a cable. So Cena's selling.
I can't. I really want to like him in every match he has, and then something happens and I just revert back to being like, just stop.
This wasn't the worst bit of selling he did in this match. I thought
this was fucking worse.
I think this was good in comparison to the rest. But they go back to the ring. Jericho hits a superplex, and I'm surprised that both managed to keep their balance on the top rope.
Yes.
Because sometimes if you think one of them's going to struggle, the person will stay on the second rope and let them have the whole top. But they were both up there. Well done. And this is a little bit, and it's usually the bits I comment on that I say I like. It's very tiny things that maybe some people wouldn't necessarily think about. But we talk about, the way that Cena hits the same moves in the same order. The shoulder tackle being one of them. What did Jericho do? He ducked it.
Yeah.
So Cena went flying over him, landed on his face. Brilliant.
Yeah. Because why wouldn't you?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good. Numerous finisher counters were executed very well between the two. They went back and forth on that. That was good. And then we see a bit where Jericho's trying to come back into the ring via the middle rope. Cena standing on top of the turnbuckles. Is that the first guillotine leg drop maybe Cena ever hit, do you reckon?
Maybe.
He does it with his legs together like he's going... I don't know what, he just wants to give himself spinal bifida.
Oh, God.
But
Jesus
the way
God.
he throws himself just doesn't look right. But he hits Jericho in the back of the head. Jericho comes in the ring. The FU, because I can call it that, because that's when it's still called the FU, is countered into a DDT. Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Gets a 2. Not quite for Jericho. And this is where you start to see how Cena isn't unanimously loved. You hear the split chants in the crowd.
Yes.
You hear... it's a very much a lighter note for the ones that are cheering Cena. And then
implying
you go,
that it's the women cheering for Cena.
and the kids.
Yeah, true, actually, kids, yeah.
And then it's more so kids, I'd say, than women.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you hear the Let's Go Jericho, the guttural, the men are starting to turn on Cena. They're not enjoying this being forced down their throat anymore.
Yeah.
They've had enough of it. And I think it was only a downward slope in terms of perception from there on.
Okay.
But this is the match where I noticed it very much. And then there's a bit where Cena is over the middle rope getting choked, and it's the worst facial acting I've ever seen, and he looks exactly like Herman Munster. I'm not even joking. I couldn't believe how much he looked like him. I paused it and got my phone out. It was uncanny. Fuck Great Khali at Battleground 2017. This motherfucker right here is Herman, because he's got the perfectly square head with a haircut, and he was doing this kind of really overselling sad face, and it's like when Herman Munster's biting into a little bit of food and then kind of contemplating it. Awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
I do agree.
And I like Cena as well, but this was not good. 5-knuckle shuffle countered, and we see in the 5-knuckle shuffle he doesn't do the pump.
Honestly, I was livid.
I know, because I saw the shoes and went, we're going to get a pump here.
I'm sure at one point he bent over, and I went, oh, he's going to do it. And then fucking didn't pump up his fucking shoes.
Just did the you can't see me. I thought you'd be livid, because as soon as I saw the shoes I was like, oh, we know what's coming. Yeah, and it didn't.
One day.
But it gets counted into the walls of Jericho, but
of course.
Cena, after much poor selling, gets to the ropes. No, I say poor selling, that's a bit... It just went on too long, so he had to sell at that level for an extended period.
Yes.
So I don't think that there was the Herman Munster bit that really got me over the ropes. And I put here, I can't decide if Cena's selling for that bit was brilliant or horseshit. Because I thought it was good, but it needed to be shorter, so he was wasn't helped with the longevity of that he was in the hold. So I'm still undecided on that whole thing. Cena goes to hit a super FU from the ropes, but it's countered into a back suplex by Jericho.
Yeah.
Nice. I was okay with that. But it's short-lived, and the way that it ended up, so Jericho runs off the ropes at Cena. Cena goes as if he's going to hit him with either a sidewalk slam or a backbreaker, but manages to rotate him up onto his shoulders and spin him round for the FU. Very nicely done.
Very nice.
I'd put any money in the world that was Jericho's shout, because Jericho would say, yeah, you got to beat me with this move, but let's see how I can get into that move that's different from how you've done it with others. Very creative thinking. I might be doing Cena a disservice, but I'd be willing to put my house on the fact it was probably Jericho. And FU hits, referee counts 3, Cena retains, the champ is still here.
Lovely, get that spinning title up in the air.
I did not like the spinning title.
I know you didn't. I don't think I really cared about it, I just think it's amusing.
Again, is it amusing? Is it schadenfreude? Is it because I'm not enjoying it? Brilliant,
that's
thanks.
the whole reason.
Yeah, how's that cough, by the way? Is it good? Right, so now we go from the Raw main title to the SmackDown main title.
Right, this is fucking stupid.
The World Heavyweight title match, Batista taking on JBL in a no-holds-barred encounter. So if you recall, because they did packages before this match and the WWE title match.
Yes.
So they did a WWE draft. Cena ended up was the first pick that went to Raw from SmackDown, so SmackDown didn't have a champion.
Okay.
At the time, I think Teddy Long was the general manager, Holla Holla, and he put a little tournament together to see who was going to be crowned the SmackDown champion, is what they were going to call it. JBL won the tournament, but it was the last night of the draft, and he was trying to take this bag which had a belt in, which was going to be his. And Teddy said, no, what you've just done is won the number 1 contendership, because I'm introducing the last draft pick of SmackDown, and then Batista comes out. So Batista went from Raw to SmackDown on the last day. So that's how this feud started. JBL's like, well, I should be the champion.
Right.
I earned it. And Batista's like, no, I am literally the champion.
Right. Okay.
They had a match at Great American Bash, which they highlighted in the package, where Batista got DQ'd, so JBL's classing that as a win.
Yep.
We land here.
Yes, we do. Yes.
Initial thoughts when you saw this match?
I didn't want to watch it.
Why did you not want to watch it?
I don't want to watch JBL in a pair of pants. I'll be honest.
I think was that a quote from his wife? That I think.
I just also, to me, this is not believable. It's one of those matches for me that is not believable, because visually my brain looks and goes, this is fucking stupid. Look at them in their physical conditions. It's like putting a Great Dane in a race with a Chihuahua.
JBL's taller.
It's not just the height though, like that body build.
They probably weigh the same.
The build of the body, Batista's jacked.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely jacked through whatever means necessary, clearly. But I just don't like JBL. I can't get over it. I can't get past it. I just can't get past it.
No one likes JBL, just to be clear. One thing I learnt from the opening package of this is that Batista sweats signing contracts.
Oh my god, yeah, he sweats so much.
Is he so dumb that he's stressed about trying to remember his own name to write it down? How are you fucking sweating from that? It's like a Lee Evans stand-up act.
I think my last comment on this whole thing literally says, I've never seen someone sweat quite as much as Batista.
Yeah, unbelievable. And then we get to the entrances. JBL comes out, and JBL $100 fall from the sky. And Taz comes out with my quote of the night. Taz goes, oh, give me one of them, when he thinks it's real. When he goes, oh, these are worthless. I go, I completely agree. I completely agree. But I think he was talking about the money rather than the match that we're about to see. I'm always a big fan of Drax the Destroyer's entrance. Bit of Saliva. Works. Yeah. Good song. Fits the character. The band is called Saliva, in case you thought I was saying anything there. Good.
That was my sort of music back then, so
yeah. Mine too. And so no holds barred, as zero chance of being a good match under normal rules.
Yeah. Well, they've got to add something to it to make it at least a little bit interesting.
So Batista comes out, JBL meets him at the rampway, and they start brawling through the crowd. Just right hands.
Snore.
But for me, this would have been the Fredo match.
Well, the thing is obviously I don't know the matches that are coming. So I said like that was the one before or whatever it was, and then I got to this one. I was like, oh no, this is where I would have consumed them if I'd have had them. That's from hindsight. At the time, you would have already eaten a Freddo, so you didn't want to go back to the well so quickly. If only.
So the crowd brawl itself is nothing special in any way, shape, or form. However, the bit where they get back to ringside, where JBL picks up a chair and Batista spears him through the barricade, I thought was fine.
I thought that was actually alright.
I liked it. The timing wasn't perfect, but it wasn't bad. No issue with that at all. So the human Morris Piper shoves Batista into the ring post. Now they enter the ring. JBL then sexually assaults the timekeeper by taking his belt off, whips and chokes the animal, and I don't know about Holly, but I'm now horny as the bondage begins.
Just so weird. So weird.
Now Batista. The barista. Now Batista starts whipping, but is hit with a clothesline from hell by the Jersey Royal and grabs the steel stairs.
You're just naming different types of potatoes, aren't you?
I don't know what you're talking
Every
about.
time you talk about it.
No. And he goes and grabs the steel stairs. I will say I do like the clothesline from hell. Looks good, you can hit it on anyone. Fine. That is about as close to a compliment as that sack of shit's going to get in this one from me. JBL flips off the crowd, which actually I also liked, so another bonus point for him there. But gets reversed and backdropped off the stairs when he goes to hit a powerbomb after doing the long haul symbol. Batista bomb, but the animal doesn't go for the cover. He pauses. Yeah. He looks at the steel steps. Yep. Has an idea.
Fair enough.
So second time the Batista bomb is delivered on the stairs and the wet sock full of smash is beaten.
Oh God. Yeah. I was alright with that. It was fine.
Again, nice and short.
It wasn't too long. There was enough in it to not keep me entertained because I was annoyed, but I was thankful it wasn't dragged out for longer, shall we say. Yeah,
because all the brawling outside in the first instance could have done without.
Yep.
But it kind of dragged out the proceedings a little bit, which I guess in hindsight I'm okay with. The match was like heavy hitting stuff. There wasn't any rest holds, which is true. And the fact it had to be, like I said, I put it as a joke earlier on, but the match could not be just a normal match because it would not be good. No one cares.
But I did make one note about the commentary, right? And Taz at one point goes, I can't believe this. I don't even know what point it was about. And all I did was, it's a no holds barred match. What are you expecting?
Yeah.
You can't believe it. What? I don't understand what you're trying to get at.
He might have been let
here.
go from the chocolate factory, though. He might have just got his P45 on the desk and he was outraged by it.
And then there was another one when there's a clothesline or something and then they go, oh, this could be it. Who the fuck is winning a match just because they've done a clothesline?
But it's a clothesline from hell.
That's when I got annoyed. You could tell I was annoyed because I was listening to commentary as well.
Yes.
Which is always the sign. And also I made notes about Batista's most pointless beard that I've ever seen.
Are we calling that a beard?
That stupid
little soul patch.
It looks like
what I've got.
but you've got a beard around it.
Yeah, okay.
But his is so small and it reminds me of not so much now because I don't know if girls even do that now, but when a girl gets a wax and they just leave the landing strip. That's what it reminded me of. And his awful tattoo around his belly button.
Yes.
I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, the tribal symbol.
Awful.
I think we need to touch back on something you just mentioned there.
Oh, there we go.
So you said, I don't know if they still do it. Did you know back then, were you like, is it a note comparing exercise that women do?
Oh, no,
I'm not involved in the culture.
Back then I wouldn't have cared. But watching it now, I was like, that's really odd to me. And obviously I think supposedly now I'm used to seeing him how he looks now, and he looks so much better. And I just look and I just think, it's so stupid. It's like someone's just got a black marker and just drawn a line on his chin.
Like a little devil thing. So, so Vagina Lips defends his World Heavyweight title against the Triple Cook Chips. And, we go on to the main event of the evening. Now,
we do.
I know for a fact, having read the email that Jamie sent to us, that this is the basis. Because he wasn't even thinking about John Cena's overselling abilities. He was thinking of what happened in this match, and there's a backstory to it. Okay. So I will tell you, we'll cover the match, and then at the end I will go into the backstory of why some of the stuff looked like what it did.
Okay.
So, Hulk Hogan against Shawn Michaels. Did you know this match ever took place?
Yes, because I've seen it in clips of I've seen the clip where he's covered in
blood.
And then I've also seen the finger wag.
Okay.
I actually enjoy that. That's a big fan of that.
Fine.
But I've not seen the match. I've just seen those literal tiny clips of, I think when WWE does like, their now then forever stuff. That's all I've seen it from.
Okay. So this match would have
these two are fucking old.
Well, this was going to be the point I touched.
I did Google how old they were.
Yeah, so I think Hogan was 52
he
for
was.
This. I didn't look up Michael's
40.
age. 40. Okay.
Looks about 75, but
yeah, he's done a lot of road miles. That man.
Not aged well.
So, see, he was a very good-looking bloke back in the day as well, in the 90s. Before he got smacked by Chris Masters and got a lazy eye.
I see.
Yeah, so that only happened after he returned. So this match would have had different meaning to me than it would have to you, because I started watching wrestling so young that Hogan was still very much a thing when I started. Okay. And then my first era of me remembering and liking stuff was Michaels, Bret Hart.
Oh.
So for me,
I've watched none of that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's it hits a little bit differently for me. So I remember being really excited when I heard that this was going to be a match. Not because I thought it was going to be a great match, but sometimes it doesn't have to be.
Like two nostalgic
exactly
people in the same ring, I suppose.
And make no mistake about it, this was not a good match. This was not a good match.
You don't have to convince me.
Any way, shape or form. But on paper, it looks huge. You've got the Icon against the Immortal. Kind of both, to an extent. Certainly Hogan defined his era. Michaels was one of maybe two people that defined his. Massive, massive stakes. Okay. Hogan's entrance.
Brilliant. Love it. Absolutely love it.
Brilliant. Loved everything about it.
All they both had to do actually was walk out with their entrance music and stopped. I'd have been happy there.
Yes.
I was so
but the flag
happy.
Coming down.
Yeah, very good.
Was epic.
Yes.
Really, really, really good. And Michaels obviously came out first.
Yep.
He was waiting in the ring, and you could tell, I don't know, maybe it's just me looking at it, you could tell looking at him he's not happy about something.
Yeah.
So we get into the match. Well...
Do we?
Well...
Do we?
So the bell starts and Hogan starts chicken dancing his way to Michaels. I can only imagine making that, and you hear it later on, but Hogan's selling noises
oh God,
like that as he was walking across the ring to him. And it looks fucking ludicrous. Also, he is the oldest looking 52-year-old I've ever seen in my life.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I don't understand his ageing process.
No.
Because he looks like he's about 70.
Yeah.
But I've seen clips of when he was younger. He looks fucking older.
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
When he was, what was his name? Sterling Golden. I'm
just like... What is your age? It's like Benjamin Button, but he's not actually getting younger.
He's getting the same.
It's just odd.
Yeah.
Very odd to me. But yes, he looks like he's about 70.
Good physique, though, for his age. I mean, for a 52-year-old. I mean, you take the head off. Take the head off. I mean, don't get me wrong. He looks like he could donate his skin to Land of Leather after he dies. But in terms of the musculature...
Land of Leather. Jesus.
But the musculature and stuff is impressive.
Yeah, I
for
suppose,
age.
And actually, I suppose when you think about... God, I used to watch that stupid show. We know I love shit TV. I used to watch that Hogan Knows Best.
So did my missus.
And I'm pretty sure he had a lot of issues with his back and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And you just think, actually, to be fair, to still be mobile...
And I think he's had a hip replacement, knee replacements. He's actually really quite immobile now.
Part robot.
Yeah, now he's like in quite a bad way. He struggles to get around these days. Which is funny, because when you think about the in-ring work that he did, he's known for punches and kicks, shaking around a little bit, and that's it.
Just a lot of bad leg drops, yeah.
Yeah, it's just because it's got an impact after a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's just a blunt force jolt impact every time. The crowd are electric at the start of this, really, really loud, adds to that big match atmosphere. So far all the components are in place, and I'm thinking, this could be good. They could be good.
Could be.
Yeah, and then we get sorely disappointed at every step of the way. So, test of strength starts, HBK is thrown right across the ring.
Of course he is.
Because Hulk Hogan isn't losing a test of strength to a vanilla midget.
Oh, God.
Shoulder block, and here we go. Michaels falls over, gets up, falls over, gets up, falls out of the ring, gets up and falls over again.
Yeah.
What do you think of Michaels, who's known to be a very good seller? What did you make of what happened here?
So fucking angry. And all I could just think was, oh no, this is going to be the whole match. This is what's going to happen. And I was piqued my anger.
Yep.
And I didn't think it could get any worse. Oh,
it does. It does. The pace is painfully slow.
Oh, it's just dull.
You can tell Michaels is... Because Michaels can have a good match with anyone.
Yeah.
He's not playing ball here. He's not playing ball. He's making things look more difficult than it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bit where, not long after, I think the worst sell for me is this next bit, where Hogan has him by the back of the head, smashes his face into the turnbuckle. Michaels jumps onto the first turnbuckle, turns around, flips clean off it.
Yeah. It's just, what the fuck are you doing?
There's also a moment in the match where he's on top of the ropes and then he bollocks himself on the top rope. That was something that Michaels actually did used to do back in the day. So as much as that might look as overselling, he was known for doing that.
Right, okay.
It's just so sad. But there's a bit where Michaels starts to turn things back in his favour.
Yep.
And he bitch slaps Hogan.
Yeah, I've just put slaps ... exclamation mark question mark for some.
The first
repeating.
one, Hogan kind of looks at him like, brother, like, what are you doing? Kind of thing. And Michaels looks at him like, come on, what are you? Of course I'm going to slap you, you bitch. And then he paintbrushes him 2 more times, and I liked it. There's been a lot of slaps in this show because JBL, was it JBL did it or someone else did it early? We commented on it.
Yeah,
and it was very good, and I liked it here as well. Then it falls back to the outside. Shawn gets body slammed onto the announce table. Then inexplicably, when he gets off to try and walk past it, he just flips it over.
Oh, honestly,
why not? And then he pirouettes off the ring post. He's put into it, and then he spirals his way off, doing at least 4 rotations, like Neymar being tackled.
Of course.
Then it's Hogan's turn to hit the ring post, and he does so twice. So HBK just tries to jump, but they're back in the ring now.
Yeah.
HBK jumps onto Hogan, who's in the corner. Starts the way he's throwing those punches. To me, looks like he's legitimately trying to actually cut him open because he's not doing the elaborate ones from here. He's going here and aiming the knuckle to split it. So I don't know. I think this was planned. I think Hogan was supposed to bleed, but I think they might have not necessarily done it with a razor.
Yeah.
No, not even that.
Oh, really?
I think they went, we'll do it. It's called hard way. So it's not doing it with a little razor. We're going to make it.
Oh.
Yes. Whether that was the case or not, I don't know. But it was just because of the way that Michaels was throwing his punches with the knuckle side aiming down made me think that was happening. But the visage of
it's just
Hogan bleeding, I remember being really uncomfortable when I saw this first time. When you see the blood
it's
going
in
into
his
the
eyes.
eye.
Yeah, that's when I was like, no, that's a lot.
Yes.
And that made me question: is it? Sometimes it's not the real blood; it's like the squeezy, like. And I was like, no, this is real, like, and it's a lot.
For
and
reference,
it was in his mouth, like, oh.
And someone might correct me on this, but the only time they use the fake one, as a general rule, is when they've got to do it in the mouth.
Yes.
And they bite into
it.
It's usually a Johnny with blood in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But for the rest of it, it's always usually a razor.
Yuck.
There are some people that, I won't touch upon it now, but there was a very bad blade job that was done at an ECW show, which nearly got the company closed down because it went that bad. One to touch upon another time, but it's especially if you're in charge, because I'm thinking, well, I wouldn't know how to do it myself.
Absolutely
but then again, would I want someone else to do that to me? No, because then at least if I do, I can go, well, that was me.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Hogan's sitting there looking beaten. I heard the commentary say, I've never seen Hogan manhandled like this. He's not really being manhandled.
No.
It's just a very sloppy, ugly fight, and it's got touches of Edge and Matt Hardy from earlier in the night for me.
Actually, yeah.
And
just aged.
Yeah, basically. And Michaels, like I said, jumps on Hogan a few times to try and bust him open. And then eventually the ref literally pulls Michaels away. And that's the moment where I was like, well, they're trying to draw attention away from Hogan, so I'm thinking maybe he does nick himself then.
Right.
Either way.
Because that's not... I know if it's the head and your heart's pumping and blood will flow, but to me that was like, there's an excessive amount of blood here.
It could also be like if you're on something to thin the blood as well. Like paracetamol would thin the blood, wouldn't it?
Of course it would, yeah.
So that could be... And if the heart's pumping like that, it would...
Yeah, true. That's a fair point.
A little goes a long way, I think, on that. So now it's just a shitty brawl. Yep. It's just a sleep, and then we get a sleeper hold.
Oh no!
See, notice it's a sleeper hold here.
True.
Didn't call it a rear naked choke.
But I'm asleep. Yeah. I'm asleep.
Yep.
Oh, I'm awake.
I said a sleeper hold from HBK, and I don't know about Hulk, but I'm asleep. And you've got the torrents of blood on Michael's arm.
Yes.
In that hold, it looks nasty. It actually probably improves it because the match is so bad. If it didn't have
it's a bit of a distraction.
Exactly that. It's a distraction from a lackluster affair. Hogan escapes with a back suplex, and both men are down.
Yeah.
Flying forearm from Sean. Flying forearm from Sean hits, but the following elbow drop misses.
Yep, no one's home.
Hulk does what Hulk does and tries to Hulk up, but the ref is down by Sean, who just wipes him out basically with a forearm.
Yep.
Accidentally, allegedly. And then Hogan is put in what I've described here as the worst goddamn sharpshooter ever to grace God's green earth. It is... for as bad as The Rock's is,
yeah,
because he's not even he's not applying pressure, but he's done it on the wrong side.
Yeah, true.
He's got, instead of having it, so you're basically supposed to have it so the leg that's upright is the one that's under your armpit.
Yes.
He's done it on that side, and the leg that's supposed to be upright is the other one. So he's just kind of holding it.
It was very odd.
Ankles across, basically. It's the worst attempt at that move I've ever seen.
And then but in my head I thought, have they had to do it this way? Because not had to, because you just wouldn't put it in, but because of how unflexible Hogan is.
No.
Is this the only way they can do it? And then I was like, but it just looks like dog shit. Just don't do it.
No, because it made it. Michaels had to put more work in for that, and I don't think that would have been. I think that would have been more uncomfortable for Hogan the way it was in.
Okay.
Because if you're asking me, I'd rather have it secured under someone's leg than them holding, and then because you'd feel like all the pressure in the knees of your body weight going down. And also, it's because
sorry. Also, this is going to be a dumb comment, and I'm sure it will be. Shawn Michaels does a lot of moves that I know other people doing.
Okay, so apart from this one, which I was about to go into a bit more detail on, what other moves are you referring to?
He does the turnbuckle jump out that Ric Flair did.
For the overselling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously we've talked about that before, because I said, Charlotte does this thing and I really like it.
And I said that's a Ric Flair
thing. And that was a Ric Flair thing. And I know there was the thing with Michaels and...
That was a lot later than this.
Ric Flair. But then I was like, he does the sharpshooter as well, which I know is coming from...
You got it?
Natalia.
Close.
Which goes backwards to Bret Hart.
Yes.
Who the fuck is Bret Michaels? Because it's Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
But Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yes.
And I was like...
And did you hear the crowd boo when he did
confused. No, I was...
So the crowd booed when he did it because I'm assuming you've heard of the Montreal screw job.
Yes.
In wrestling. I don't know if you know the details of it.
Absolutely not.
But effectively Bret got screwed out of it and Shawn put him in his own sharpshooter.
Oh, yes, this rings bells, yes.
So anytime Shawn goes to do that, the crowd's reaction is to boo him, which is what happened here. It kills a lot of time, too much time. Just kill the show at this point. Yeah. I'm very much done with it.
Yeah.
We get a rope break, and then ref number 2 comes in and goes down because HBK is kicked into him. Yep,
of course. Where the fuck are they getting these refs from? You know, they drop like flies.
Yeah, made of Fabergé egg.
Honestly,
they shatter at the slightest of touches. And then Michaels with a ball rattling low blow with both refs down to Hulk, which was. I'm fine with that because it's already. I've written this match off way before this. I've written this match off, so I don't care really what happens now at this point. So I'm probably more lenient to what unfolds. Then Shawn goes and gets a chair, and this is when the chair shots to the head was still okay. Oh, it's a glancing one, but he still dings it off Hulk's head.
Also, the refs are down. They're not deaf.
If they're unconscious, though.
Oh, they're not fucking unconscious.
But that could be anything. There's so much noise in an arena.
You just think. These are the things that I think about.
But how can you disqualify someone for something you heard but you didn't see?
So dumb.
You can only call what you see. And then he does finally hit the following elbow drop. Sweet chin music. 1, 2, no. Hogan kicks out. Powers out, in fact, with a kick out. Starts shaking like a shitting dog.
I don't like that. That's weird.
He's feeling the power of the Hulkamaniacs flowing through him.
God.
He gets up. he blocks a right hand. You.
Oh, see that
Soldier Boy.
Yeah.
Then the finger wag.
I do like the finger wag. It's amusing to me.
The right hands come thick and fast. Michael selling like he's working at a Moroccan market, to be honest.
Honestly.
No, come into the shop. See what you like. What do you like? Come in. No, come in. All over the place. Michaels is hit with the boot, and no, I'm sorry, this is the worst selling moment of the match. He goes down, gets up, walks around, spins, jumps down and lands on the canvas one more time.
Big boot and the biggest oversell I have ever seen in my life.
The leg drop connects and the match is over.
Yes, finally.
Hogan leaves victorious. Okay.
Oh.
Bit of background on this.
Okay.
So, what was supposed to happen is the two of them were supposed to have a couple of matches. They were going to trade wins. So I don't know if it was just a 2-match series, a 3-match series, whatever, but they were supposed to have a few of these.
Yep.
Hogan then cited injuries with his back.
Okay.
And said, it's going to have to be a one-and-done thing, brother. Which one was he supposed to win? SummerSlam.
Oh.
Michaels was furious.
Oh dear.
Absolutely furious. So Hogan is known to be a world-class politician backstage in terms of getting exactly what he wants, and goes like, oh no brother, I think if we do this it'd be good for you. I try and make it look like it's good for you, but it's good for him.
Okay.
And he just said, oh, because of my back I can only do the one shot. Oh, who's supposed to win the first shot? Oh, me? Oh, okay, fine, it's me. Right, cool. And Michaels is convinced that it was just because he didn't want to do the job at a later date.
Okay.
So Michaels went, okay, I'm going to make this the shittest match I possibly can.
Oh.
So Michaels went out there with the intention of going, I'm just going to make this look like a farce. So you'll win, but it'll be a mockery.
Oh.
So basically, HBK threw all the toys out the pram.
Oh, that's so stupid.
Because the real thing that's being affected here is the fans.
Yeah.
Because granted, I'm not saying you shouldn't have personal pride in what you do, and I side with Michaels insofar as I'm pretty certain Hogan just did this because he just wanted to not lose at a later date.
Yeah.
Just say, well, I'm not doing the match at all then.
Yeah. The whole thing is stupid because, yeah, like you say, the only people left disappointed are the people watching. So, actually, that could have been a decent match, but because of all the shite overselling, it just looks awful.
It's so bad. So, like I said, for me, this match had a lot of meaning back in the day. I was excited for it, and I left so disappointed because I remember at the start, because even though I was aware that it was all a put on, I didn't know anything really from the backstage side of things. And when I saw Hogan hitting Michaels, and Michaels really, I was like, oh shit, Hogan.
Yeah.
Hogan's good. And then it carried on. I went, something's not right here.
Yeah.
And then I cottoned on quite early. Then I just felt like, again, I'd been robbed.
Yeah, like you're cheated out of actually, because there'd be a lot of people that would think the same as you. Like, here's two people that I grew up watching, but it's horseshit. Yes,
horseshit is the correct descriptive word for it. But that, well, I say that brings us to the end of the show. Not quite, because Shawn comes back into the ring, shoves Hogan, and then Hogan looks like, we're going to go again, brother, what are we doing? Yeah. Shawn says, I needed to know for me. Which, why would you do that bit if you've just fucked around with all the rest of it? Because it makes, again, the tantrum you had looks even dumber for the fact that you've now come out and said that. Yeah. True. And I'm sure that's what he was told to say. I don't think he's done that off his own back. And then they shake hands. I would love to know what was being said at this point. Well, all you could see is Michael say was, I had to do it, I had to know for me. Yeah, but Hogan is like, actually proper. I think Hogan's kind of saying, like, what the fuck was all that? What the fuck was that about? Yeah. Shawn just says the same thing over and over again. Yeah. Because I think they're focusing on him saying that, but I would love to actually have heard or been able to lip read what Hogan is saying. And to be fair, there might be some sort of dirt sheet that would tell you, or some interview that Hogan's come out with and said exactly what happened there. And I'm sure Hogan would differ to the series of events that said, like, oh, Michaels just didn't want to do business, rather than him saying, well, yeah, I couldn't do it because of my back, and it's a farce. But yeah, hated the match. It's just a sad way to end it, really. Really was, wasn't it? Yeah, because actually, you know what, some of the matches were okay, some were
better than okay. But as a whole, I quite enjoyed this pay-per-view because there was a lot in it. It wasn't too long for me.
No.
My attention is fine when it was this length.
Because I think was it just shy of 3 hours, 2 hours 52, something
and I
like
was
that.
like, that was fine. And then it finished like this, and I was like, it kind of left me a bit like, oh.
And it didn't feel like there was a filler match.
No.
Like there were people in matches that weren't of high caliber, like you would say Eugene as much as we.
But then you had Kurt Angle
to offset that, Orlando Jordan, but you had Chris Benoit
for all of 20 seconds,
Jericho, Cena, Orton, Undertaker, Batista.
There was a lot in it. Just that last match was. Do you know what? I actually would have been happier if they'd have swapped. Obviously, having seen them in hindsight, swap the Batista match and put that at the end, because that for me was slightly more entertaining than this one.
You couldn't finish.
Obviously, you wouldn't know that at the time.
But there's no. Yeah, I agree. There's no way.
But having watched it, if you were putting this back together, it's already been done. It's already been recorded.
Yeah.
Now you've seen it, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a shit way to end it. But there's obviously no other way to end it because of the people and who they are. It's just a shame.
But there was no. Well, my favourite match. There was because one really good match is Eddie and Ray. So that would have been my favourite match of the night.
Yeah.
But you couldn't end the show on that.
No.
So if you had to end it with one of the world title matches, I'd probably do Cena and Jericho in hindsight if I had to. But again, for me, as I've mentioned before, I really do not like it when world title matches are not the main event of the show, except for exceptional circumstances.
Like in theory, this would
is
have
one
been.
of them.
Yeah.
So I had no issue with this going on last.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I mean, you mentioned it to a certain extent. How did you feel about this show? If you're looking at the overall package, you can't just cherry pick certain things. What are you giving it out of 10?
As a whole, out of 10. Ooh. God, that's a hard one. I'd probably say a 7.
I was going to land on 7 as well. If it hadn't been for some of the shithousery that we saw in there, it'd probably push an 8.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed a lot of things on it.
When we it's funny because when we break it down and talk about it, I will pick out a lot of the negative things that I didn't like, yada yada. However, when I think of it as a whole, I was like, I actually enjoyed it though. But then it's easier to focus on the negative than it is the positive, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. I think that's just a statement of what people are like, aren't they? You always kind of look for...
But I think also for me, I enjoyed it because it wasn't 4 hours long.
Yeah, I believe SummerSlam 16, I had to break that up into about 4 segments when I watched that. And the content of some of the matches was pretty good. It's just, it was unrelenting. So when we do touch upon... Right, I keep saying touch upon, like it's like my go-to phrase for some reason. When we get to like reviewing WrestleManias and stuff like that, it'll be interesting to see how we cope with that. We must have a way to kind of break it down so it's not just monster show after monster show. Sure. But yeah, that kind of brings us to the end of SummerSlam 2005. I think I'd agree with you. I'd put it probably about a 7, which I didn't think I'd say going into it, but the main event was at least a -6 for me. Which is funny because you think the main event would dictate how you overfelt. You would, wouldn't you? But actually, the other matches made it. And a lot of them, when we finished, they were like, even the Batista JBL match, I was like, it was fine. Yeah, it was fine. Yeah, had it dragged on and done other stuff, then no. But yeah, it worked. They kind of used, for the most part, what they had well. And if Michaels and Hogan had managed to sort their childish shit out beforehand, it probably would have been even better. Yeah. I guess that means that we just move on now to the usual bits of business in the socials, Holly, which I'll leave to you. So yeah, if anyone has any more recommendations of what we can watch, ping them over via email to wintwicepod@gmail.com. The Instagram, alright grammar, is wintwicepod. We've got TikTok. We've got YouTube. Win Twice Pod. Gosh, who are we? A couple of the videos seem to have done quite well on YouTube. We had a couple of the short clips go over 2,000 views, which is nice. So yeah, but again, it's nice to hear the feedback on it. Don't get me wrong, we enjoy doing this regardless, but happy to have involvement from others with suggestions of shows, etc. going forward. So I think the next show, not settled upon it yet, but I believe it's back to my choice, is it now? It is. Right, I'll have a think and we'll release that hopefully before New Year. Yep. Cool. All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Hope you've enjoyed episode 6 of the Win Twice Wrestling podcast. On behalf of both myself and Holly, we will see you at episode 7.
Bye.
Bye.